Big shout out as always to my great pal, the big boss, Stone Loki, for that wonderful, very me intro. Buddy, if you're out there, I know you are somewhere. Thank you so much. You were too kind to do this. I was just so humbled that you did it for me, and I appreciate that. And hello, everyone out there. And hopefully, like last night, we'll get some people trickling in later. There's someone there. There is someone there. That's good. Okay. Well, we're just getting started. And I want to thank again, not only for the last time we got to hang out, but now getting hang out again, to hang out again tonight. The wonderful and amazing Miss Raquel Briggs, who is here with us tonight. Thank you so much for being here again. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to discuss Star Trek with you. I just absolutely love it. So, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you so much. Talking Trek is something I kind of like a little bit. In fact, did it a little bit last night with a gentleman who has written a new comic, everyone. I just want to encourage everyone. You can check out that video. It was an interview with a gentleman by the name of Dave Baker, our first time to meet. He has a new comic book coming out on November 11th. It is if you're a Star Trek Voyager fan or a fan of Star Trek comics in general, IDW is really they've been doing I'm going to be doing a whole history of Trek comics soon. They do the best Trek comics around, even though they do some of the fake Trek. They do a lot of original Trek stuff, and they do some pretty good ones. This was an interesting first issue written by Dave, my new friend Dave. And so check that out at your LCS, as they say in the biz, your local comic shop, or go online, find it when it comes out. And that will be a 4-part miniseries, Star Trek Voyager 7's Reckoning, and I Reckoning Amended. And yes, I'm going to hell for that one. So, but it's an enjoyable book, and again, I hope you all like it. And if you do, let me know what you think about it. But yes, Dave was a good bloke, and if Dave is out there hearing this, thank you so much again for hanging out with me last night. I really enjoyed it, but I'm still mad at you for having that damn John Sable shirt that I want, man, that I had in the '80s. God, man, I missed it. I want to go back and start reading the comic again. It was a great book. And that shirt, man, naturally, the one I had in the '80s would not fit now, but I still want it. I would love to have that thing. But it was a lot of fun. And again, Dave, if you're out there, thank you so much. And thank anyone who was here and anyone who was here last night. Thank you for that. A lot of thanking going on. Again, another thanks to Raquel for being here. How are you this evening, my friend?
I'm great. It's snowing here, and there's enough snow that it's going to stay now. So this is a very subdued time of year as we get ready for the hibernation mode Canadians are accustomed to.
Wait, are you saying snow is real? To us, it's just something you see on TV. I always thought it was a special effect.
Well, where you're from, you heat the earth with all that Cajun flavor, all that Cajun spice, all that blackened fish. That keeps the earth warm.
Well, somebody's got to do it with the spices there. Well, yeah, again, and as I've said before, when I'm not even exaggerating when I say that we don't get, I'm well over 5 decades old, my friends, and I've had snow down here. I'm talking about snow that actually stays on the ground and looks like it's like it would up north, which is nothing compared to what you get, but still snow everywhere. Maybe 3 times in my entire life. It's just phenomenal. Wow. And I've always wanted to. That's why, see, down here, we always see that. Go, God, it'd be so cool to go play around in the snow like they do on TV.
Yeah. Oh, good evening, RR. Good evening, Canadian Spider-Man.
Oh man, RR.
To my winter web fluid, Canadian Spider-Man says.
Yes, he does whatever a Canadian Spider-Man can.
Yeah. RR, I feel for you, dude. Or are you dude? I'm not sure. I always think of you that way. Like I was just
yes,
dude. I think you're a dude. But RR, yeah, I feel you. I'm feeling for you. Oh, it's here and it's here to stay and it's yucky.
Yes,
I'm a grown woman and I just use the word yucky. What's wrong with me tonight?
Well, that's what we're all here for. Hey, you wouldn't be mad at me if I told you it was 75 degrees and muggy out there, would you? It was hot all day today. Oh, I can't take it. I would love to have a little winter. I'm not asking for it all year round. How about like five days of it maybe once in a while?
Rubbing it in, just rubbing it in. Just like Cajun spices, just rubbing them in.
Yes. I like me some Cajun there. Toxic dude, that's my kind of guy there. Oh yeah, there you go. All right, R. Yeah, R's from way up north.
You're a sweetheart of a man. You're always a
we're all toxic. We're all toxic around here, and we love it.
Yeah.
But again, Canadian Spider-Man. I also popped in the other day for my show I did with Mr. Feliciano, and it was cool to see you then, sir. And it's always cool. We've bumped into each other in many chats, and anyone else is here. We thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to go way out on a limb and assume some of you like Star Trek because we do. Just a guess.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. I sure hope so.
I mean, if you're here for Buck Rogers, that's okay. But we're doing Star Trek tonight. So, look at that. My good friend Steve Mitchum. Oh, man. Hey, buddy.
Steve and Loki.
My old friend Loki. Loki, dude, your ears are burning, man. It was, as I always do when I open up, thanking you for that fantastic intro, buddy, that you made for me. Yes. It is the best, and I love it, bro. And I had a great time on your show last night, my friend. And again, Steve Mitchum, by the way, is one of my oldest friends. Yeah, I'm calling you old. What are you going to do about it? You can kick my ass, but not from there, buddy. Because you're way out there. You're probably going to get snow, too. But one of my oldest dear friends from around here and stuff. And love you, bud. It was good to see you, man. I hope you're not getting any sleep with that baby. But again, still, it's the first time, I've talked to you other than in text for a while. So thanks for popping in, bro.
When the walls fell, Steve. When the walls fell.
Yes. Oh my! Let's see. Something at Tanaka. Now I'm forgetting.
Hey,
Chris Persia, the king of the wrenches, the magistrate of the moderates or moderators or something or other. I love Chris, man. He is so cool. He's in a lot of the chats that I frequent, and he is always so kind to me, and it's always great to have him here. That's Darmok, a great episode. Yeah. Let's see. Zathras, of course. Yes. I hate Star Trek. He says, I hate Star Trek. Babylon 5 is better. Just kidding. Hey, man, look. Babylon 5 gets all the respect from me. I love it. I love Trek more, but I love me some B5. All that war between that and DS9, I say, yes, there's conflict there, but look at it this way. We got two great shows. So,
yeah. At Tanagra.
And Galad. Are you watching Netflix, dude? Oh man, and
I'm so jealous of Zathra being able to watch Babylon 5 because I've actually tried 3 times and it's extremely difficult to get where I am. So
they don't have it on the Amazon where you are, Amazon Prime, or you don't have that?
No, I have Amazon Prime, but it's not on it. I keep checking, but I think I'm just gonna go on Amazon and order it and just have like hard copies sent because like I've never had an opportunity to watch it, and I'm so excited to watch it because I've heard so many great things, and I got to watch the first 2 episodes. So I'm like,
well, it's crazy because Amazon Prime here had it, or at least has it, but it is different, like in UK, and I guess, man, I didn't know it would be different in Canada, but yeah, they do. They don't have all the same things. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, our here it's 66 to 05. There's we try to keep
yes.
Yeah.
Real deal.
Yes. We try to be diplomatic, but at the same time, 66 to 05.
That's right. No Klutzman garbage here. No Jar Jar Abrams filth either. My good friend R. And RR's been I've known him since I just started here in YouTube. Has been a good pal, always popping in, knows comics and knows the geek stuff, and I always appreciate seeing him here.
Yes. And
it is fantastic.
Banter. He's very good with everyone in the chat. He has good chat banter.
Indeed. Well, like I was telling you, Raquel, I've made so many fantastic new friends here. Yeah. I've become practically my good buddy Latino Slant, Paulie with the Latino Slant, and Loki. They've all taken me in and just made me part of their gang. I'm part of the Latino Slant. I have my mug and everything. He sent me my mug. I went on there one day and I asked him if I am Latino, and he tells me I am, and I'm like, I didn't know that all this time, but I'm glad to know that. So with my last name, I guess it just figures, but I'm just a mutt. I don't care. But I mean, he's a great dude. And Paulie, if you show up, you're gonna get the standard. Oh, Paul,
I do, Chris. I always bring up the real timeline because I'm obstinate like that.
It's the real deal. It's the real Trek. It is family. Real Trek is.
Yes.
It's part of our family, and we love it. Well, let's see. Now, let's just, because we haven't had a chance other than through some messages to exactly suss out how you want to do this tonight in terms of rank. And so I'm open to suggestions if you have any about how would you like to do this? Would you like to just go each series and just talk about each character? Do you want to put them in? Did you have yours in order? What did you do with your notes?
Basically, what I did is, as some of you know, I'm a post-secondary instructor. So, and one of those things that I teach is leadership. And so I went to a couple of my books and I thought to myself, what makes a great team? And so I decided that I would sort of write an outline, a very short outline for myself, about 5 or 6 points of what I think makes a great team member. And then I sort of did a very short summary of the personnel description. And then I sort of talked about the reason why I ranked the folks and the whole crew in that way. And I decided that I wanted to give some answers within the text, so as if I were working with these people in real life, and then outside of the text. So how they've behaved with fans, how they've behaved towards the fandom. And that's how I generated this idea of what are these crews all about? The best, let's rank the 5 of 5, and let's put them in order. Who emerges, who reigns in Kitchen Stadium? So my ingredients for what make a great team are: they communicate well with each other, they focus on goals and results, everyone contributes his or her fair share, they offer each other support, the team members are diverse, they have good leadership, they're organized, and they have fun. Based on these guiding principles, I made some choices.
Wow. Well, let's go. So do you want to start from the beginning, 1966, with that illustrious crew, or how do you want to do that?
Well, I'd like to start with my number 5. If we're going to rank them, let's count them up to 1. What do you think of that, Clobberin?
Go for it. Let's do that. Right. Let's go.
So my number 5. Okay, everybody, I'm telling you right now, there is going to be some controversy here. This is going to be a slap awake for some of you. For some of you, it will be a tall glass of water. But there are going to be some choices here that are going to set you back on your heels. You're going to be like, what? What?
Get your pitchforks ready, folks.
Get your pitchforks ready,
your
folks.
Torches.
Yes. Because this Frankenstein's going to fight back. No, I'm kidding. All right. So actually, his name wasn't Frankenstein, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. Okay. So number 5, I chose the USS Voyager. And this is the description from Memory Alpha. An Intrepid class starship such as the USS Voyager normally had a complement of approximately 150 crew members. When Voyager left dry dock, its crew complement was 153. During the tumultuous to and through the Delta Quadrant, many of those were lost, but there were also several new crew members taken on, first from Chakotay's Maquis and then the Ocampa sector, and later from the Borg and the USS Equinox. In 2371, Voyager had a crew complement of 141, whereas in 2375 and 2378, the number was 148. For anyone here at home, what makes these shows that we're doing here on YouTube interesting is that you get offered some research and some information. And I always like to do that for you because this is more than just about my opinions. This is also about making the show interesting. So if you ever wanted to know for trivia where you can get those numbers immediately and those years, you can turn to the episodes The Caretaker, Someone to Watch Over Me, and Author. Okay, so they're they are the numbers and the star dates are in those episodes. So the original crew included some people, and they got killed. So we had a big transfer of personnel. So this is the very first time that we see a Star Trek where a whole bunch of people are killed off almost instantly, almost before we can even forge a relationship with them. So we had the executive officer, Aaron Cavett. He was lieutenant commander. He was killed by the caretaker. And he was replaced by Chakotay. Then we have the chief medical officer, Bist Fitzgerald. He was a lieutenant commander. He was also killed off by the caretaker, and he was replaced by the EMH, one of Clobberin's favorite characters. Then we have the chief engineer, and that's Alexander Hosenberg. He's a lieutenant. He is actually never named on screen, but he dies in the caretaker attack. He's replaced by B'Elanna Torres, who is Maquis, but she was also in Starfleet. Then we have the helmsman, a flight coordinator, Veronica Stadi. She was a Betazoid. She had been in a whole bunch of soap operas, if you look at her IMDb. She was a lieutenant, and she was killed by the caretaker array. She was replaced by Tom Paris. And so, yeah, and this left the core crew of Captain Catherine Janeway, Commander Chakotay. And you know, what's really interesting here is that Chakotay is a mononym. So Robert Beltran once joked that Chakotay's first name was Fred. He did this in a Q&A, but Chakotay is a mononym. It's his only name. And then we have Lieutenant B'Elanna Torres. She's a chief engineer. She's human in Klingon. Then we have Lieutenant Tom Paris. We have Neelix. We have the doctor, who is an EMH. He is, of course, AI. Then we have Tuvok, who's the tactical officer, chief of security. Of course, he's Vulcan. Then we have Ensign Harry Kim, the forever Ensign Harry Kim. He is the operations officer. He's human. And then we have Kes, who eventually becomes a medical assistant, though she probably should have become a doctor given her aptitude for learning. And she becomes the hydroponics gardener. She's Ocampan. And of course, she is replaced by 7 of 9, who takes over Astrometrics. She is a human and a former Borg drone. And my reason for rank? It is widely known that Gene Roddenberry would have objected to a future where human beings, especially in Starfleet, were still fighting and warmongering. And of course, I'm referring to the Maquis here. For this reason, the disharmony and constant infighting, I rank Voyager the lowest rank in a countdown to the best Star Trek crew. The crew has flashes of cohesiveness and brilliance, but the infighting is unbecoming the noble and utopian ideal of Trek. The Maquis episodes stand out, especially with Seska. And of course, when Kes comes back and has the conniption fit and starts inexplicably blaming the crew because they have to jettison her. The writers have to force her out the airlock. So I also gave this rank because of Jerry Ryan's complaints about her suit and how she made that about gender. Because, of course, we know that any period piece, somebody would have to wear the exact same type of corset. So thousands upon thousands of men and women have had to wear a corset on screen and on stage, as well as the fact that if you're talking about being uncomfortable, try being Michael Dorn with an armadillo on your face. So Jerry Ryan's comments are not welcome by me, and I thought they were unbecoming someone who was plucked from relative obscurity to the type of fame she achieved through the show. I also gave Voyager the lowest mark on the poll because of Kate Mulgrew's latest comments stating that Star Trek is misogynistic. So for me, when I am looking at cohesion within the text, and cohesion outside of the text, and conduct becoming people who are a part of this great legacy. Some people have behaved wonderfully and some have behaved badly. And yeah, so number 5 is my number 5. I hope you all can accept my rationale. Clobberin, who's your number 5? Which crew is your number 5?
It will be the very same.
Ah,
Yeah, I look. I don't have much to add to that. Hang on 1 second here. Let me fix that. I'm having a mic problem. Yeah, I think we might be good. Just wait a minute. Let me try to fix something. Sorry, everyone. All right. I think we might be good. So sorry, everyone. I think I may have it straightened out. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you on that one. I like the crew. Okay, I like the show. I'm warmed up to it over the years. I liked them. I liked the actors. But as far just in terms of characters, because obviously I'm totally with you. What you said, Kate Mulgrew is God, she really has gone bonkers. And Jerry Ryan, I used to thought seemed like such a nice lady, but she participated in the defilement of her own character. Yeah, look, you take a gig, I get that, but by being part of Star Trek be hard. So that really ruined the character of Seven for me. On the series, though, I thought Seven was a really good character. There were times I had problems with the way Janeway was written, but yeah, I thought she was still a very interesting character. Again, I find them all fairly likable enough. I really loved Robert Picardo as the holographic doctor. I thought he was really outstanding. Certainly you could say Harry Kim is kind of an underdeveloped type of a character. Nothing against the guy, but I like Tuvok. Okay. I like Paris. I'm one of those weirdos that likes Chakotay. A lot of people, you always hear people knocking him.
I
like him.
Chakotay. I thought he was a fabulous character. And Robert Beltran, or however he wants to pronounce it, his behavior on and offset is conduct becoming a star. He behaves like a star. He behaves like a gentleman. He he doesn't ever bite the hand that feeds him or tries to belittle Star Trek fans, at least to the best of my knowledge. And his character was intensely interesting. I come from a part of Canada where First Nations people are incredibly important to us. And I loved having Chakotay to be there to speak for and stand for First Nations people, and he did so beautifully, introducing people who may not be exposed to that in other parts of the world, and doing it so respectfully.
Yeah, I've heard him criticized a lot. For not like in a bad way, just that people not really thinking his character was all that good. I thought he was one of the stronger characters. I really liked him. I just thought the guy had a lot of charisma, and I guess people think he's not bombastic. Well, that's okay. I like him that he's a laid back kind of guy. I mean, I really, he's an even keel kind of guy. He's a very sensible character.
And one of the best looking people that have ever been on Star Trek. He is one of the best looking people, men and women included. He is a very, very handsome individual. He's completely not my type, but he is very, very handsome. He's just so well put together. I mean, this is a true gentleman. He's a great actor. He always delivered on his character and his lines. I think he's fabulous. But remember, this is also the series that brought us one of the most despised characters in all of Star Trekdom, and that, of course, being Neelix, right?
Yeah, let's talk about Mr. Neelix here for a sec. I think that guy. I think Ethan Phillips is a fine actor. I have no problem with him. But I got to tell you, my first run through Voyager, I wanted to like Neelix and didn't really that much. Now later, in subsequent episodes, especially towards the end of the run, I thought he was fairly well handled. Again, I like the actor, okay. So I don't really hate him anymore. I don't really hate him or anything, but yeah, it took me a while to get to handle Neelix.
Prior to this character, though, no one had ever looked at an alien and said, "Oh, there's Chicken Head. Oh, look at who we have."
My goodness, Katie Carr.
Katie Carr.
That
part. I'm so
hello, wonderful lady.
And speaking of Chakotay, this woman, this wonderful ballerina and a budding scholar, she loves Chakotay. She thinks Chakotay is just aces. And a lot of people agree with you, Katie.
From what I do know about this wonderful young lady, she is the biggest Star Trek Voyager fan on the planet, from what I hear.
Yeah.
And God bless you for that. I really I've always enjoyed how she tweets about it. Her passion for the show really comes through. Don't get us let us make you blush now, Katie. But
Yeah.
really enjoy your passion for the show. And let's see, Katie, of course, says, agree 100%, Raquel. Chakotay was wonderful. He was a handsome gentleman, loyal, and had a great personality. Thought it was a perfect match for 7 as well. Yeah, well, there you go. And, well, I envy him. I envy him on that one. Good God.
I
But
actually
I
thought
like him.
that he suited both women, though, on that score. And I think that is attributed to how he was able to deliver on this character. Because when we think that something might be going on with him and Janeway, I was very accepting of it as well. Because Janeway appealed to the dignity side of Chakotay. And Chakotay was such a dignified character that you could definitely see him being attracted to a very scientific mind like his captain.
Yeah.
And so I was a little disappointed they didn't get together. But then I also thought he was also a great match for 7. To tell you the truth, I think Chakotay is good for anybody in a power position and beautiful women, because he has so much to offer. You can actually think of this person as though he's a real person.
Yes, and I also I just like the fact that he was coming from a guy who was a Starfleet veteran who did, although he joined the Maquis and everything like that, that he realizes for the greater good he becomes a sort of a de facto Starfleet officer again, buries his differences, and I actually liked this relationship with Janeway. I mean, I liked the way they interacted together, and I think he really loved her as a person, and he's a top-notch first officer. So I can't say enough good things about him. He and the Doctor are probably the two characters I like the most personally.
Yeah, just he's just I think he's just fab. I love Chris's comment at 8:29. Could we please put that in the marquee?
See if I can find it here. Which one?
I love these international takes on these characters. Yes, Chris. In Canada, we called him Chicken Man.
Wow. Poor old Neelix, man. He was always getting picked on, wasn't he? Yeah. Really, I think he was a really good actor, though. I think Ethan Phillips was pretty good. Again, sometimes it's never really the actors, how they're written for, as we all know, sometimes as well.
So how would we pronounce that, Chris? Gobbledock? Is that correct? We called him the Gobbledock, a creature made from Smith's potato chips.
Yeah. There we go. Oh, Katie. By the way, JD Lewis, thank you for popping in, sir. My friend, good to see you, my friend. And Jobber, I saw you here, buddy. AKA Joe, just Joe, a great old friend from the old BTR days. Job, thanks for popping in, my friend. Yeah. Katie says, great crew, great actors. The camaraderie of Voyager was very special. Yes, it was absolutely. And then Art Beltran was an extremely underrated and underutilized performer. He was really well. Good. I'm glad to hear that, because I've heard people pick on him before, and I've never really understood it. So there we go.
Gobbledock.
Gobbledock. Neelix the Gobbledock.
Yes, very close to the Canadian chicken head. That's great, Chris. Thank you so much.
You mean bastard, Zathras.
Yes, it was great. He couldn't talk, but of course, his chicken hawk could. What do they call that again? A comb. His chicken comb, his rooster comb, could wave back and forth.
Yes. Oh well. Did Steve mention? He said he's heard him complain. So I don't know about that. If Beltran complained about his character on the show or not.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. If you have a link, we'd be happy to look at it.
Well, if he did, we'll look into that. Yeah, but again, for everything I've seen about him, like you were talking, always seemed like a cool bloke from what I've heard.
Yeah.
And to just touch on a couple of the other ones, of course, again, the captain, the wonderful Captain Janeway. Again, I thought she was really good in the role, and I'm glad, obviously, she was replaced Geneviève Bujold. And again, it's how characters are written. There were times when both her and Picard, there were times when I was scratching my head the way they were written. We'll get to him later. But again, she's a fine character. I think they're all fine. I really like Tim Russ.
Yeah, me too.
as Tuvok. So again, I just want to touch. We can talk about them all. Just give a little bit. He was always a real good. Now he might have been underutilized a bit. Some might say, but he got a few things to do. I always thought Tom Paris should have been. Remember the old episode? What was it? He played a character on Next Gen. There was a Starfleet Academy cadet. The Wesley episode.
Well, he had led a team of cadets into a terrible, awful thing that got someone killed, and got him kicked out of Starfleet. He was not a good guy. He was a liar and not a good man. And then we see that sort of narrative carried over, but to a lesser extent. He's not a bad man. He's just made some decisions that haven't been very good for him.
Thank you for that, Katie, by the way. Says, only some of the writing. Overall, he loved being on the show and loves the fans. If there's anyone that knows about Voyager, it's this lady right here. And a very nice person. Thank you for that, Katie. I appreciate that. Eric K., one of the other great wrenches. Eric, my good friend, thank you for being here, sir. And I'm going to say this wrong. Jaworski, Pool Practice. I thank you for popping in, sir. It's great to see you there. And I always thought it might have been interesting if Paris had actually turned out to be that guy, that same character. When I saw him, when the show first debuted, I thought that's who it was going to be. I did not know. Katie says, personally, Janeway was my favorite captain. She, like Voyager, Voyager 7, meant a lot to me as a role model and as a female in command. She kept her grace and femininity, yet was confident and strong. Yeah, I can't argue with any of that, Katie. It's true. Absolutely. Yeah. Very well said. I appreciate that. Great show, everyone. Not change topic, but I strongly feel the Orville is the closest thing that we have. That's not too much of a change because I love the Orville. I'm going to be doing some shows about that soon. I do love it, sir. So thank you for that. The first duty.
And it's actually one of the reasons why we're here tonight is because everyone here is really passionate about the 66 to 05. And so that's a welcome comment.
I love the Orville. So yeah, I'm right there with you, my friend. The first duty was that episode. Thank you, Katie, for reminding us of that one. Let's see here. Well, I wouldn't go that far. I'm actually an evil, horrible monster. But thank you anyway. Anyway, Car. I try anyway.
Eric. He's a pretty stand-up guy.
Look at Zathras. There you go. His name was Nick Lacarno. There you go. We got some track knowledge going on. Lacarno. That's right. I thought he was really good in that episode. Yeah. So, and you know what? I like Tom. He kind of represents the. He's sort of there to kind of represent the audience in the sense that he has a spirit of wonder about him. That he likes he likes ships and he likes Captain Proton. I love that. I love his and he likes old Earth history and things like that. And I kind of like it. He's a pretty cool character.
Yeah,
I like him enough. Started watching Enterprise again. After we talked about it last time. Fourth episode in. Well, Eric, we're going to be talking about Enterprise in a bit. I love it. You have I guess two people who defend Enterprise to the death here. So we're going to be talking about that soon.
Yes, for sure.
Let's see. Do you have anything further to add on? And Katie loves Tom, of course. One day I'd like to talk to Katie about Voyager. We should just get on because I know she would probably have a lot to say about it.
Yes, just do a Voyager show and just bring on the ballerina.
Well, I'm gonna, and you too, of course, both of you, if you want. I'm gonna do an individual show of all the series. I want to do that.
Oh yeah, that would be a heck of a lot of fun.
And then again, we've said it. We talked a lot about this character when we did some of our episodes list. Robert Picardo was fantastic, and so very nice. And again, so that was both of our fives. Let us have, unless you have any more to add, Raquel.
No, I'm good.
Let us go with your number 4.
My number 4. Okay, here are my notes, folks. Number 4 is incredibly tough because I'd actually like to call a tie because as far as crews go, DS9 and TNG are tied for me. There are small things that help me to name one over the other. Herein, in choosing to rank the 5 of 5 original gangster crews, my number 4 pick is TNG. And that crew, of course, is Jean-Luc Picard, William Riker, Geordie LaForge, Tasha Yar, Worf, son of Moog, Beverly Crusher, Catherine Pulaski, Commander Deanna Choi, Lieutenant Commander Data, Wesley Crusher. And here is my reason for rank. If you'd like to know what their positions were on the ship, just go ahead and ask me. I've got it written down here for you if you need it. The reason for rank, Jean-Luc himself openly admits that he never fully bonds with the crew, acknowledging that his participation in Poker Night was long overdue when it was far too late. As a leader, excuse me, folks, as a leader, he's secretive, aloof, detached. Healthy distance and observance of rank are not non-issues here, as Jean-Luc isolates himself in his downtime. That quest for the maintenance of image and position, even in his personal life, makes him a lesser captain in my mind. Because remember, tonight we're talking about what makes a great crew, what makes a great team. And I put in my notes, there is tension between Worf and Riker over Deanna and overall manliness. That, of course, would be something that Gene Roddenberry wouldn't like. Pulaski disgraces herself with regard to one of the most beloved characters in all of canon, that being Data, who she mocks and persists to call Data. No one listens to or likes Wesley Crusher. And of course, hardcore fans know that Wesley Crusher could have become an amazing character because he was the stand-in for Gene Roddenberry to express how he felt as a young man. We have Geordie, who is so emotionally isolated that Data becomes his best friend. This is not to detract from Data, but Riker as a wingman would have been so good for Geordie. In the romance department, it's so hard to see him lonely. There are a ton of redeeming moments, like Worf making Deanna Alexander's guardian and godmother. But overall, despite the shining and inspiring moments and friendships and family, there is a crew that deserves a higher ranking, a crew with less discord. Also important to mention that this crew was cast by multiple people who complained about their roles and about being in Star Trek. Pat Stu complained about the set, his costuming, and Picard's personality. He, of course, made those disparaging remarks about the Shakespearean actor comments. And of course, you know, he's talked at length about how he felt that Livingston was cruel that for him to be on the set. He wanted to wear casual clothes so much, he actually went to his chiropractor and got a doctor's note because he didn't want to wear his uniform, and his uniform had to be remade. We have Jonathan Frakes, who complained about Gene's vision for Riker. He's opened up about that recently. Apparently, there was also tension there. He also made a TV series that he admitted Gene would have hated. LeVar Burton complained about his visor, felt that it limited his character. And Marina has since complained about her costuming. And of course, we know that in the beginning of Marina's career, she said that she used to star in skin flicks. And I think there's a difference between wearing a sexy outfit and wearing an outfit for a skin flick. So, wow, perspective would be great for Marina on that. And then we have Denise Crosby, who quit, saying, and this is almost verbatim, that she didn't want to spend her entire acting career saying, "Aye, aye, Captain." And then I wrote in my notes, because that worked out so well for her. For all of these reasons, the TNG crew is second to last for me. So we have a ton of great stuff happening on screen. We have lots of magic, but there could have been a little more there. And then we have some behavior off screen that's really conduct unbecoming. Once again, these people who were plucked from relative obscurity. Pat Stu was, of course, in a lot of B-rated science fiction. And of course, LeVar Burton was an actual known actor, but everybody else was, they weren't famous. So I just don't understand why they have to crap all over the franchise now that we have social media. So for that reason, TNG is my number 4, everyone.
Once again, same deal. We're right there on the same page. It's tough. Look, a lot of people, because of just how despicable what Star Trek P Hard is, and what a just absolute defilement of the character. Is anyone hearing an echo? Are you hearing it?
No.
Okay.
I have my headphones in.
Okay, good. Now, as long as no one else is hearing, we're good. And I hope they'll let me know if they are. Yeah, that taints things a lot. I've heard many people say that they can't even really go back and watch, next gen now because of what all the water under the bridge. Not just their conduct, which you so rightly point out, but just what Patrick Stewart has done to the character of Picard. I can still do it though. I can still go back and watch it and love the show for what it is. And I do think as a crew, they're okay. Again, this is similar to our last topic. There are certain, I pick and choose certain characters. Well, with all the crews, you like some better than others, I suppose.
Mhm.
Looking back now, knowing what we know about this person, that was some amazing acting because he is nothing like that character.
Yes.
That is for damn sure.
That's true, but I speak about this all the time, so I'm going to give way and give you the floor to explain why there's some confusion in this character. Because as you and I both well know, and I'm a broken record in this regard in teaching people about this,
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart was not Gene Roddenberry's choice, and there was a war over this character. And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind taking that, Mike, and just explain that to the viewers at home. There was no poor writing for Patrick Stewart. There was no poor writing for Jean-Luc Picard. He was not supposed to be an Englishman. Anyway, did you want to just explain to the folks at home, Mike?
Well, just basically, no, you pretty much covered it. And one of the actors that they were looking at was Japhet Kotto. Mm-hmm. And he's about as unlike Patrick Stewart as you can get. I mean, it's not. So, like you said, he was kind of forced on Roddenberry. He didn't want him. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, I just thought the character. Well, you talked about it earlier. You said he was kind of started off. He was a little stodgy. He was just a kind of a grouch or whatever. However, at its best, this nothing quite like a Picard speech. Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm partial to Kirk speeches myself, but there were some damn fine acting bits and speeches there he was very well written for, and he acted them beautifully. There are times, I mean, especially in things like The Drumhead and in Measure of a Man. And Who Watches the Watchers, and a few other ones, and a bunch of other ones. So
the writing for him was incredible.
Yes, inconsistent sometimes, but incredible.
Yes, the writing for him was tremendous. It was extremely good, and we all know that Gene was rewriting and writing all the way up to Data Lore, and then of course Gene was experiencing a tremendous amount of resistance. People trying to push back, trying to change the way it was. And of course, we know from Phase 2 that Gene wasn't even sure if he wanted to be involved with this to begin with, and now they're arguing and fighting with him over his own damn characters. So it's I'm just really disappointed. I'm disappointed that Patrick Stewart has said all this stuff about how he's always wanted Star Trek to be more like the Marvel comic universe. I thought it was preposterous that he called having Livingston in his ready room cruel, and just the costuming debacle. I mean, imagine this. And folks at home, this is knowing that that Patrick Stewart has stood in front of Gene Roddenberry like 5 or 7 times or something like that. You'd have to look it up, but it was like multiple times, and Gene kept on saying no. He didn't want a bald British guy, because they were getting rid of Captain Kirk. They were getting rid of William Shatner. And one of the reasons is that Bill was too old. So it's not like Gene Roddenberry has a hate on for British people, or he doesn't like bald guys. It's just, if you're getting rid of William Shatner, who was going to be on Phase 2, Why would you just get somebody who's only 7 or 8 years younger, I think only 7 years younger than William Shatner, and force a British guy into a role that was made for a Frenchman? And so, you know, it's just the way that he's handled that whole dialogue and tried to victimize Gene Roddenberry. And the hardcore Trekkies know better. We know the facts, Jack. So why are you trying to run Gene through the mud now that he's dead when he can't defend himself? We have facts, dude. Shame on you. You should be happy to have this franchise and have all of these beautiful fans who adore you. If you talk about being a Shakespearean actor, well, then rise above and have conduct becoming. Have some decorum. Be grateful. Be grateful.
Well, very, very well said. I don't blame you at all for that, because it is just he really, really dumped all over his longtime fans. It's one thing for me who really does like a lot of it, but the Next Generation isn't as important to me as the original series is, but I still love it. Don't get me wrong. But if Shatner had done that to Kirk, I'd feel like a lot of these people who love Picard the best, that's their favorite captain and their favorite series. If the Next Generation were my all-time favorite, the most important to me of all of them, I'm already angry, but I'd be devastated what he did to that character. And he did it. Make no mistake, he did it, folks. He did. By the way, thanks, JD. I'm glad you recognize that. He did it. It's all his fault. I blame him for everything that happened with his allowing that character to be dragged, as you say, dragged to the mud. So screw him. Still a great character in this form, and a lot of people often say how Next Generation series Picard is different from movie Picard. We don't need to get into all that, but there's a good point to be made. But at least movie Picard was still the same guy with some different kinds of writing, but he was nothing like he was on that piece of filth TV show.
And it was just an exercise in masturbation. That's the only way to describe it. This is the height of narcissism. We're not sycophants. We're not idiots here, just waiting for to be tossed some crumbs. I can't believe the interviews that he gave and the horrible things that he said. And then Jonathan Frakes joined him, and they all started saying all this utter, can I say shite? This utter shite.
You can say anything here.
So unfair and I think ungrateful and bad form. Very, very bad form. Anybody who would become a part of this fabulous legacy that has inspired philosophers and scientists and people the whole world over, even people to be better fathers and mothers and daughters and brought people together, and you just think it's crap. Okay, all right, Patty Stew, have a good day.
Yes. He wanted to be old man Logan, but just old man Picard, and said he got his wish, and it's just disgusting. Really makes me sick. Yes. Was it? Yes. Again, very well said. Yes, Zathras. That's true. Bruce Boxleitner was fantastic on Babylon 5. He is the captain, dude. He's just Captain Sheridan. That's all. Loved him.
Eastland is saying something really cool too, because Eastland is actually
there we go.
Bringing us back to this idea of a crew and what makes a good team. Thank you, Eastland. The group dynamic is off. Riker is a ladies' man, an ambitious Starfleet officer. Troy is an empath, and it is badly used. Any scene in the ready room, any scene should, I think that's supposed to be better staged elsewhere, or could. Any scene could be better staged elsewhere. Yeah, that's a detail I didn't even think of. You know what I mean? Because I was there for the real to actually watch Star Trek as it unfolded. TNG, I mean. So when she first started, she was a cheerleader. So I actually sort of felt like the thing going on with her and Riker was sort of suitable. They made her character a little more serious. They gave that character more substance, because she did essentially start off as a bit of a cheerleader. But you know, I wonder how much of that is Marina's fault, because she did come from this world of skin flicks and of the like. Because remember, we know from phase 2 that she was supposed to be based on Ilia. So Ilia is not is not a woman who is merely a cheerleader. She is a powerful woman who is sexy and in charge, but she has as much agency and power as a man. So how much of this belongs to Marina? If Ilia is your marker, how did we wind up with Marina? So excellent comment, Eastland. Great comment. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Eastland. Appreciate that. Well, and again, amongst this cast, again, I have many friends who really love this show. I really do like the show a lot better than I used to. Not knocking the show. I'm saying, Patrick Stewart, what you've done is just pathetic. And you too, Jonathan Frakes, you jag off. I mean, some of the things you've been saying, screw you, man. Look, take the gig and all that stuff, but don't trash fans. Leave fans alone. I mean, that's part of it also. It's bad enough you do this to the character. Then when fans who have every right to complain criticize you, you act like a jerk. Mm-hmm. When they've been keeping you in the biz, man, especially you, Frakes. So, look, I met him once. He was nice enough to me, but come on, man. I don't know. All of them seem to be jag-offs these days. Yeah. But as far as characters now, I do love Data, Quester. For those who are familiar with Gene Roddenberry's pilot, the Quester tapes, this is pretty much Quester. And they even did some similar things with his character early on in the series that they did to Quester in that pilot. I don't know if you've seen the Quester tapes. I don't know that we talked about that before. I'm not sure if you've seen that or not.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay. If you ever get a chance, it was very good. And some of the things that they did and that he couldn't really get away with Quester, and he didn't get to make the series, but even in the pilot, he did with Data. And Brent Spiner's another one. I'm not saying he's mean to fans or anything. He's this guy. He said things like he's never watched the show that he was on. Yeah. When I hear crap like that from actors, well, look, first of all, I don't think I believe you. You could, but why would you even say that? People really love it. Just say, answer questions, be nice, and don't say crap like, "Oh, I just did it as a job. Screw you."
Well, the thing that makes me mad, Mike, is that that there seems to be people who are trying to turn this into a thing where they're trying to make Star Trek appear to be like fans are making more out of it than they should. When meanwhile, there are Ivy League universities that are running classes on the metaphysics of Star Trek, Star Trek as a religion. Do you know that there are over 10 doctoral theses written on what happens on Star Trek and how it's affected human behavior, how it's affected our society? So everybody always trying to downplay the Star Trek fans and sort of make it seem like we're making it out to be more than it is. Perhaps they should pierce the membrane on their ego and step outside of their little cocoon and start looking at the world from other people's eyes. I completely agree. I met Jonathan Frakes. I wasn't too happy with him. I thought that he told some stories that made it seem as though he was ashamed to be on Star Trek because, of course, we met him at a hyper VIP event. I've met Brent Spiner twice. I think that he is a beautiful person. And I will say that he has been incredibly kind to me and my husband. When he comes to Canada and he's in the con room, he has actually stood up and waved at us because he recognized us. So I don't know what's going on with him. I think that's just basically kind of also his personality. But yeah,
that's fine. It's not a bad knock or anything. I'm just, sorry.
Yeah, he gets away with it for me just because I met him so many times in real life. And he just goes out of his way, I think, to sort of, I don't know. It's almost like he doesn't want to take the adoration. He doesn't like it too much. And he doesn't like people to suppose that they have an intimacy with him that they don't have. And he also hates being called by his character's name. because he was on Night Court and he did all these really cool
Yeah.
shows. He did comedy. He's like he's been on in the acting business with some pretty famous people, and yeah, I don't know. He gets a pass from me. Is that bad, chat?
No, not at all.
pass.
No, if he's not out there saying really horrible things like Marina Sirtis is doing on Twitter and the stuff that Patrick Stewart's, if he's just, no, I'm just saying, I wasn't even really mad at him. I'm just saying, I don't know about, I believe if you'd ever watched it. Never. No, it was a nitpick on that.
I agree with you, Mike. There is a feeling in this person where he can be extraordinarily curt. He's never been that way with me, but he can turn on you and be very curt. I've seen him turn on fans very quickly. So I do what you're saying is 100% valid.
Nobody's perfect. Everyone has everyone has a bad day sometimes. He's probably, like you say, he's a good dude, and that's good to know. Well, look, Stu, Frakes was nice to me enough. I mean, some of them, they're people. They have their faults, and Marina Sirtis was kind of snippy with me, but then so was Gates McFadden, and it's not a big deal. Again, they don't know me from Adam. They could have been having a bad day. Who knows? Basically, that's the way it goes sometimes. That's a good point, Mark. See? Everyone talks about toxic fans. Nobody talks about toxic narcissist creators who are paid professionals. No, you can't criticize them.
Can we leave that comment up on the marquee for like 12 hours? No, I'm kidding.
Of course.
What a great comment, Mark.
No, well, yes, indeed, buddy. These actors should be made aware of what kind of culture and fan dedication climate that they're becoming involved with when they join an orientation to fandom. Yeah, actually, that's something I'm going to touch on later when we get to another one of the actors.
Yeah, great comment.
Yeah, this is good. Brent Spiner should apologize for starring in the Horrible Independence Day sequel. Was he in that thing? I thought he got killed in the first one. Oh, man. Well, yeah, he probably did need to pay checks. So, again, I'm never against him taking a gig for purely, rational concerns but,
if you are a paycheck person, this is the thing that I don't like. I don't like hypocrisy. If you are a paycheck person,
right,
be a paycheck person, but don't act like you're some highfalutin, nose in the air, and I am untouchable. I'm just, my acting is beyond reproach. I'm a diva, and then also be a paycheck person, because you can't be both of those things simultaneously. Somebody needs to send this to these people in a postcard.
Yeah. Absolutely. Steve Mitchum, good point. I too now, because of what you told me, I'm a John Davey over Jackson Bostwick fan. I thought Bostwick looked better probably, but John Davey, like you said, he's a cooler dude. So good on John Davey. And for those who don't know, we're talking about the old Filmation live action Shazam TV show from the early 70s. Two different guys played Captain Marvel. Yes, Captain Marvel, the real one, the one who says Shazam. The show was called Shazam for legal reasons, but that's another show. But yes, John Davey is a nice dude, and Jackson Bostwick, who also played him, is, well, I won't say anything bad, but I hear what you're saying, my friend. Yeah, so John Davey all the way, bud. Oh man, let's see. Like it says, John treats his fans really, really, really well, and apparently Bostwick barely. And look, I always admire anyone who treats the fans well. That's important, and you can tell, Oh yeah, Katie earlier said she likes Beverly. It's her favorite TNG character, and she likes Lursa and Bedor, the Klingon ladies. Yeah, and that's
wonderful. Katie is just wonderful. Katie is she is a ballerina with pizzazz, folks. She is a Trek ballerina.
Yes, and a buddy of mine calls Worf the Klingon teddy bear. My son hates Worf. I like Worf, but I'm not bashing Worf. But I know people that don't like him, and everybody calls him the Klingon teddy bear. We'll get back to Worf later, probably. But I just want to say one thing, everyone. Shut up, Wesley. There we go. I know Wesley bashing is just so common, but what can you do?
Yes, I take. The only reason why I take umbrage with it is because. Is because that was supposed to be Gene when he was young. So I always sort of wanted to protect the character because all of the attention and bad reception to the character. I don't know.
I hear you. That was for Will Wheaton, by the way, not really Wesley.
Yeah. It's just, and Will Wheaton today is just, his mother used to follow me on Twitter, and I had to block them both because it was just, remember,
Wow.
he left Twitter and then he was basically posting through his mom's Twitter. She used to follow me on Twitter
Weirdly.
years ago, and just they were just both posting just the crazy stuff all the time and liking crazy stuff. So I just stopped. I just had to stop. I'm almost there with Marina as well, because it's just,
Yeah, I had to stop her. She's
it's
terrible.
so bad. It's so bad.
It's sad to see someone get that really nasty. It's just, I mean, it's not that I have a hatred. I feel bad for them as well, that they're really just torn up with hatred and nastiness for those who just think differently and it's just, and they're not very Star Trek. None of them are. They're not, because Star Trek is usually about inclusion and tolerating even those who don't think like you. Somehow those people, of course, they don't really care about Star Trek now, do they? We've already established that with some of them. My good friend Steve, he met Gates McFadden in Reno, and again, everyone has different experiences. He says, "Surprised how nice she was. Were you dressed as Thor at that one, buddy?" He dresses as Thor sometimes, and he could pull it off too. But anyway, that's cool. I'm glad she was nice. That's great. That's great, man.
Yeah, Marina was really nice to me too. As a matter of fact, she stopped the whole line to tell me that she loved my outfit. I met her at this like VIP signing, and we were all going through, and she stopped and she's like, "Oh my God, look at your pants! I love your leather pants! Oh my God, you're so beautiful!" She said to me, and she was just so warm and sweet and kind. But what's going on Twitter? Doesn't she have a publicist? Like, it's just really bad. Like, for everybody out there, I just want to say, as a scholar, just so that everyone knows this, that you really owe it to yourself to know that it's not healthy or good for you to conflate politics and social issues. Those are two different things. And don't become just a party. That's a very dangerous place to be. And always put people first. These are people, and we're just fighting about ideas. And it's okay to fight about ideas. But I wish Marina would rein it back. And I say that as somebody who's really, really on the left. I'm definitely on the left, guys. And even I have to say, wow, it's a very, very hurtful and conduct unbecoming a star to use their platform to speak that way in public. It's very sad. It's very sad.
It really is. It's a shame, because they live in their little bubble, and they don't realize that a lot of people who may not necessarily agree or vote the way they do, but still enjoy their work, and they would like to, again, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You can just be nice. So you don't agree with them. So what? Maybe, but again, a lot of these people probably are never really around others who are very different. They don't have a lot of experience in their own, personal lives with people who do think differently, and it shows. And it's living in that bubble. It's a shame. Canadian Spider-Man, yes. It cannot be overstated. The stars that appreciate their fans, it should be recognized, and I met really, a whole bunch of really nice ones. Absolutely.
Well, now you know why I included it, Canadian Spider-Man. It does matter, doesn't it? So we can't just look at what's happening inside the text, and by inside the text, I mean TNG, inside of the story. We also have to look at what's happening outside of the story, because this is a cultural thing that we have grown here, that we have all created together. We did this together. And so it's very important that we look at the inside and the outside of it and say, what's happening here?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Ruffalo. Oh, good God. Yeah. The whole Chris Pratt thing. Yeah. I won't go over that right now, but I'm with you, Mark. That is just that's some sickness right there. It's a damn shame. Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. Well, yeah. Worf is great though, Katie. We should be talking about him soon again. Yeah.
I just love Worf.
I like him too. I really do. One of Worf's best lines, Revenant, but I'm not. Let's protest. I'm not a merry man.
A man is dignified and good looking and exceptionally he's such an exceptionally good looking and dignified and wonderful man that he's even sexy with an armadillo on his face. When I was young, I had the biggest crush on him. And it did not matter that he was dressed up as a Klingon. I could actually tell how cute he was. And just, oh, I just loved him. I thought he was just absolutely wonderful.
Indeed, indeed. We should probably give Worf even more because I think he was even better on DS9 for me personally. But and as Katie had
We'll
mentioned,
talk about that later.
well, of course, her comment about Christie was very, very hurtful. I'm more conservative, admittedly, yet always agree to disagree and appreciate. Look, this is so nice. It's so easy to do this too.
Yes.
Having friends with different political ideologies. It's the Trek way, and it's the way of a lot of people. But again, people who don't live in that Hollywood bubble, Katie. And I really appreciate you saying that. I mean, love people. Love's more important. I mean, what is a political disagreement? Really, just kind of a squabble over how things should be run. But we can coexist, or we're going to tear each other apart. Mark C. If Raquel thinks Star Trek celebrities are bad on Twitter, she should try following. Comic book professionals are vile. Some of them, they're bad. Pass on that one. Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
I completely agree with you, sweetheart. I just, you and I are friends on Twitter, and I absolutely agree with you. But this is getting to that idea, though, too, right? That I'm trying to teach people, especially as a scholar, that social issues are different than political issues, and we need to draw that line there, and we need to be aware that we are getting some ideas together, and then a bunch of people take those ideas and then they govern us with it. And that's all this process is. It isn't about our identities. You should be able to love your conservative friend. No one should be dead to you. That's not the way that this works. Governance is supposed to be a collection of ideas, and it could change every year. One year you could vote conservative, the next year you could vote liberal, because we need to remember, we need to return to this idea that it's a collection of ideas, a collection of things we want to do. It's not our identity.
So well said. Absolutely. You can't let those things, but we all know that even happens in families these days. And it's just, when I hear about that, it's bad enough for two celebrities doing it. And, but man, when you hear about it like with celebrities or longtime friends, it breaks my heart. It's just terrible. But anyway, we'll move on from that. But it is something that's important to this topic, really, because this kind of thing that we're talking about has, in a sense, sullied our opinions of these people. Again, they're allowed to say whatever they want to say, but I don't understand why they can't at least keep it civil and say, look, hey, Kirsty, yes, go ahead.
The thing is, Clobberin, is everybody is free to say whatever they want, because we come from democracies where people are free to say whatever they want. But you know what? People are not free from the consequences.
They happen, that's for sure. They think they are, though. I mean, look, they're going to be there. Yeah. Got to meet Michael Dorn once. While he was still filming Trek, the poor man's face was torn to shreds over the makeup, and he answered every question, no matter how. I've heard he's a nice guy. I don't appreciate him retweeting that garbage that Marina Sirtis did, but I've heard he's a nice guy. I hope he isn't completely warped with hatred now. But yeah, again, there's another thing. You hear a lot of people that were they've heard stories about they were really nice, and yet you see what they tweet, and something like, I don't know. It's sad. Tolerance used to mean we can think differently, but live under the same set of laws. Newspeak tolerance means you must think and speak alike. Yeah, I mean, this whole crew has been assimilated by the poor in real life. And again, absolutely brilliantly said, Raquel. I do appreciate that. Katie is amazing. You really are.
She's a very positive person in the fandom.
My longtime friend, and Steve and I have been friends for dude, almost 40 years, you old bastard. My wife and I are different political parties. It can be done. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I have many friends that disagree. It just seems so simple. I don't understand. You're dead to me? Wow. I mean, you tweet that out. I mean, you could live with yourself. Jesus Christ.
And there have been other comments that
would
curl your grandmother's hair.
It's terrible. Dorn became very good at voice act. Yeah, he did. He did Caliban's voice. He did Gorgon's voice. Jobber, that's right. 90s cartoons. Yeah, I've heard Dorn's a good voice actor as well. Eric, okay, that's where you at, Eric. Abby Normal. Yeah, nice. And I love it. Who's brain? Abby Normal. Yeah, it's a nice young Frankenstein reference, buddy. Nice job. I love that movie. Well, what would be your number? We're at 3.
Number 3, this is going to shock everyone, or maybe the shock's already over because
Yes.
I've already given you 2. So somebody out there, you know what's coming. My number 3 is the NX-01, the Enterprise. And of course, here we have Captain Jonathan Archer, Science Officer T'Pol, Chief Engineer Charles Trip Tucker III, Tactical and Security Malcolm Reed, Communications Officer and Linguistics Genius Hoshi Sato, Helmsman Travis Mayweather, and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Phlox.
Love them.
And these are my notes, folks. I just said there's not much to say here other than on set, within the text and the story, these people are an amazing and cohesive team. My favorite example of their camaraderie would be the pursuit of Reed's cake. Offset, these folks have comported themselves with humbleness, class, and dignity. So my number 3 is the marvelous crew, and Scott and Jolene and Connor and Dominic and Linda and Anthony and John. These are all really, really great people. What wonderful, marvelous people. We should be so honored to have them in our franchise. So great job, team, on set and off set. I love you. I'm blowing kisses. Mwah, mwah.
Enterprise never gets enough love, and I can't stand the bashing. We're gonna do a whole show about Enterprise one day. I hope you will do that with me.
Oh, of
and
course,
I love it.
I'm on.
I really do. I didn't mean to interrupt your notes, though. Go,
no, that's it for me because there's really nothing to say, and I think that's because if we look back at how I was describing leadership and how I was describing how teams are made, and how those dynamics are created. We have this very reachable and passionate and wonderful captain. I just absolutely love this character. I was very apprehensive at first because I'm Generation X. So I was very worried that this was going to wind up Quantum Leap, and it didn't. I believe that Jolene Blalock is an absolute goddess. I think that her performance as T'Pol is highly underrated. I think that she played a Vulcan just marvelously.
Yes.
I believe that Connor Trenier is a wonderful actor. I was cheering for him all the time. I just think that he's a sweetheart. And Dominic Keating, wow. When you want to talk about, I don't know, maybe it's a British trope that he was just, sort of very stiff and very formal, and he didn't really want to talk to anyone. And, and he just wanted to make sure that he had the armory ready. He played that character so wonderfully, where he was always kind of the person where you wanted to know more about him, and it was done on purpose. And I absolutely love Anthony Montgomery. I don't think what was done to Anthony Montgomery was done on purpose, like what happened with Ensign Kim, Garrett Wang. Here, I just don't think they had enough time to have like a Worf-like unfolding of Travis Mayweather, because of course we know that Michael Dorn's character is not really explored in TNG. Only when we get to DS9 do we start to see this beautiful character fleshed out. And of course, Enterprise had like 1/3 the episodes that the other series had, so we didn't get a chance to make that happen. And of course, John Billingsley playing the Denobulan. Oh my gosh! Oh yes, and don't forget Porthos. Yes.
Yes, I had to put Porthos. That's for you, Zathras. Even though I disagree with you about Archer, but still, I love you, bud. So I gave you that.
I just love John Billingsley as the
Yeah.
Denobulin. I think that he is every bit as compelling as these horrible, awful, disgusting Cardassians that where they're just so well acted. You get the exact opposite feeling from Dr. Phlox. He is also this mysterious, beautiful alien species, and you just want to know all these things about him. And we slowly start to learn that he has all of these weird powers and cool things that he can do. But at the same time, he's exactly like Dr. McCoy. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. He's what every good doctor wants to be. He's what every MD strives to be. Somebody who is passionate about healing people.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, nothing bad about Quantum Leap. I loved watching Quantum Leap. Canadian Spider-Man. The reason why I said that is because I didn't want to come into Enterprise with preconceived notions about the character.
Right.
So when I say that about Quantum Leap, the thing I was thinking is, can I shed my idea about this character? And as I said earlier, yeah, all of my misgivings and apprehensions were quickly put to rest. Wow, Jonathan Archer, Scott Bakula is Captain Archer. He is wonderful in this role. I loved him. So thank you for asking me that so that I can clarify.
I'm getting that. I don't understand why the echo's happening, everyone. I apologize. It comes and goes. I don't know.
Your microphone is broken, hey?
I don't know what it is. No, it goes away sometimes. Actually, Canadian, I'm sorry to tell you that I'm going to be the one to knock. I'm going to bash Quantum Leap because I can't stand it. Just kidding, man. But look, when I was married way back in the 80s and 90s, my then wife loved Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. I'm a toxic male. I jokingly teased her about it being if you'll forgive the expression, chick show. But it was all in good fun teasing her, right? But I was not allowed in the room when she was watching it because I was too much of an a-hole while she was watching it. Mess with her about okay.
Not because your wife was ogling a man. Were you married to a toxic female?
I don't know what it is, but she loved it. There were a couple of shows I was not allowed in the room when she was watching it. It was one of those deals. But
well, I have some news for you that's going to freak you out. I actually didn't go to Quantum Leap on my own. My stepfather watched Quantum Leap, and I think it was on either before or after The Greatest American Hero here in Canada. So I was waiting for The Greatest American Hero to come on, and nice. I wound up watching Quantum Leap, and I didn't mind it. I thought it was really good.
I don't know. I guess it just wasn't really my kind of. It's a long story, but I had a problem because there were very few science fiction shows done at the time. Exactly. That show was pitched as an anthology normal drama, and the Belisarios could not get it sold, and so they used a science fiction gimmick to make just a normal straight drama show so they could sell the show with a recurring character. And that always kind of, to set in different eras and things. That's why I didn't like it. I didn't think it was a pure science fiction show. I was being a science fiction snob. What can I tell you?
Yeah, but you know what? You have to look at the socio-historical context of all of these things. And you are right. There was not much on offer at that time. I mean, basically, like, we're coming off a generation. You're just a little bit older than me. But we're coming off of a generation where it was all cop shows, all Westerns and cop shows, all private investigators, lots of men with mustaches, have gun will travel.
All-time favorite Western? Go ahead.
Yeah, and so I totally, it's easy to reject what you're saying now, but people at home need to realize that there is so much validity to what you're saying, because we're pretty much starving for some actual science fiction at that point, right? Like, we're desperate for it. Like, give it to us, right? Like, when we look at Phase 2 and we look at the documentary coverage of that, when did that start? 72? It went all the way to the beginning of 78? Like, we're waiting around for a really long time.
Oh, yeah. But again, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't my bag. When I saw Bakula was cast, I'm like, oh, man, that Quantum Leap guy. But I love Archer. My buddy Zathras doesn't like him, but man, I tell you what, I really, really love the character so much. Scott Bakula, look, all that Quantum Leap animus, it left immediately. So yeah, I'm now a huge fan. I have not watched the show that he films in New Orleans down here, CSI New Orleans or whatever, but some people like it. I have friends who've met him, say he's a cool dude. And I saw like a bits and pieces. I'm like, man, dude, don't try a New Orleans accent, please. Jesus God, don't do that. But that aside, I'm just teasing, just kidding him. I really do love this character. To me, he is a great captain. He was this show for me. This cast, they were more of a throwback to the original series than all the other ones for me, in the sense that the pioneering spirit. They were mostly humans on the ship.
Returning to science. There's
yes.
no gobbledygook. There's no magical thing to fix it all. If you have to limp through space, you have to limp through space.
Yes.
And it takes a long time to get places.
And they're out there. They Kirk, Picard, Cisco, all these people, and Janeway, they have hundreds of years before them to study to be trained as captains. And I love all them. I'm just saying, Archer's the first. He has no guideline. He's out there feeling his way blind. A lot of people criticize the first two seasons. I love the fact that those first two seasons they are a ship just finding themselves. They want to be explorers, but they don't know how to do it. There's no rule book. They're writing it.
The only thing wrong with Enterprise, as far as I'm concerned, is the Xindi storyline.
I have no problems with that too.
Not super pleased with this Xindi storyline, but you know what? Compare that to TNG. TNG had a really rough go, getting its CRAP together in the beginning, right? And so, I just don't think that people give Enterprise its chance, and they also are judging it with literally a third. I think TNG had 178 episodes. What did Enterprise have again?
I don't know.
Give me that fact.
Yeah, 4 seasons. I don't know exactly how many episodes, but
like nothing, and yet they're holding it up to these other people who had 178 to make it happen. And so
absolutely.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. I'd watch that Canadian Spider-Man. But yeah, look, I love it, and I love the character of Archer. I think he has a very good, interesting. I do agree. Multiple things can be true at the same time. Like I always say, I understand a lot of the criticisms about some of the possible canon violations, but the old show, they always violated canon, even before that, about the portrayal of the Vulcans and different things like that. Vulcans being basically the Vulcans, Zathras will appreciate this. They kind of acted a little bit like the Minbari from Babylon 5. Elitist. They didn't have a secret reason for helping mankind like the Minbari did, but they were very suspicious. They were condescending and all these things, and Archer grew up resenting them because of his father's Warp 5 engine. But I love the character, and I just love the fact you have a captain who has a dog on the ship. Man, it's just each captain had their own little thing,
May I please interrupt for 1 second? I do apologize profusely. I'm sorry,
no
Captain.
problem.
JD Lewis has pumped in the information I was looking for. It's 98 episodes. Sorry about that, folks. Usually I watch over 600 hours of Star Trek each and every single year, and I can usually rattle this information off. Do you know that I'm at almost 2 years of not touching any Star Trek because of I'm trying to deal with how I feel about TNG and the characters, and I used to watch every year in chronological order. So
wow,
how wonderful for JD to come in and give us the 98. So
thank you, JD.
Not a third, then about half. So yeah, they needed more time with Enterprise. Sorry to interrupt you, Captain.
No, not a problem. I just want to run down the characters a little bit. My favorite character on the series, and I love Archer a lot, but Trip is my favorite character.
Oh, yeah.
He's kind of there's a similarity to McCoy, the great, the wonderful Dr. McCoy, in that he's a Southern boy.
Yeah.
But he's an engineer as well. He's brilliant. It's funny. But he's not an egghead either. He's like a good old boy in a sense, and he's a fun-loving guy. and yet there are a couple of episodes where he has to fight, and he has to be an adventure, an adventurous sort, and so he can do it all. I mean, he's not just a guy. And Scotty, whom I love, didn't have to get out into the action too often. He could if he had to.
Yeah.
Tripp had to participate in the action a little bit more, and even he had to take command every now and then, especially in a couple of the ones in the fourth season. And he's good. When Archer and T'Pol can't be there, he does a very credible job of commanding the ship. I met Connor Trenier once. Nice enough dude. He was one of these guys. He said that in the panel, he's very candid, but he said he's one of these people. Nice dude, good actor. Yeah. He just said he never really understood the whole Star Trek fandom thing, and not in the. He wasn't being mean. He just said that he doesn't really. He did. I don't. Maybe they didn't take him aside and say, "Look, if you take this job, you're in a Star Trek show. You're going to be. There are going to be fans. It's not like another show." I don't know if he knew that, if they schooled him, what. But he kind of acted like, he said, it's fine. He said, and he was kind of half kidding. He said, as long as you don't come to my house, I'm cool with fans. And when I met him, I made jokes about going to his house, and he laughed. We joked around. He was pretty cool. Yeah. But he not necessarily a fans actor, but congenial and nice enough and willing to, to be polite, and that's good enough. I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's not really his bag, the show, but he did appreciate the role.
Yes.
And he was a good enough dude. I love, you were talking earlier about the wonderful Jillian Blaylock.
My girl. This is my girl.
I love her so much.
Look at this beautiful, dignified, wonderful woman. Look at how gorgeous she is. And think about how many times that this person who actually likes Star Trek before starring in Star Trek would clench her jaw on her close-ups and stuff as though she were trying to, rein back her emotions and just, I love this woman. I think this woman is gorgeous. And I would have liked to have watched 50 more seasons of her. I think she's amazing. We're talking favorites now amongst the crew. I'm going to definitely say T'Pol, but the exact tie, they're tied. Dr. Phlox.
You were talking earlier about like the way some of these people conduct themselves. John Billings, I love Phlox. I love Phlox. He's such a great character. As a person, he has been despicable in some things, and it just makes me sad. Actually, I was flipping channels. I don't watch new TV. He was on some new show the other day, just curiosity. But anyway, he can be a real. It's a shame. Pretty hateful dude.
I haven't seen any of that stuff.
I know. I shouldn't have told you that. Then I'm sorry, but I have a buddy of mine who went to that experienced it firsthand at a con. The kind of prejudice we were talking about earlier about ideology, but he's really the only one of this crew that's like that. By the way, and it's a shame. And we had him on. I'm sorry.
I just love the character, but tell me more.
Well, again, I don't want to soil him too much, but but it's not that he's not nice to you. But if he thinks you disagree with him and stuff, he can be pretty nasty.
Ooh.
He's one of those. He and his wife are big time activists, and they're very, very partisan. But I love it. But that doesn't destroy Phlox for me. Phlox is a great character, and he is great in the role. So. That's all I need. I mean, if the whole cast were like that, it would kind of start to aggravate me. But none of the other ones are like that I know of. And he's just. But if you had more to say about Phlox, please do, because I really like this silly Denobulan who is. They couldn't have cast him better.
Well, just the way that he deals with the mink, and just the way that he deals with intellectualism, just the way the whole character unfolds. I think he's wonderful. But I even if it doesn't suit my fancy, I will on board when somebody has acted unbecoming of their station or behaved with bad form off screen. Because remember, that's a part of this that is a component.
Yeah.
Of what we're judging here, our crews. So that means a lot to me, because it's quite unfortunate. They say that a lot of these people have people that come in and watch some of these shows that we're doing as fans. If they could have one takeaway, I hope that it would be that they would stop doing this stuff in public, because it's not coming across as advocacy. It's not coming across as something that's positive. It's coming across as something extraordinarily divisive. And I just think that there are so many periphery issues going on in our world today that we don't need to have people gripping on the very edge of their periphery to the point where they become like, the apex party person. We don't need any more information like this. This is the Claymore's already gone off. The carnage is all over the battlefield. Like, dude, we don't need any more.
Yeah, it's a shame, and but at that. And by the way, when this happened, it was way before all this stuff going on. Now he's been doing it a long time. It was at a con, and it's he just insulted a lot of people in his audience because of their views. And a buddy of mine was at that panel, and it's just like, dude. But he's been on when I was doing the show way back. We had a sort of a network on Blog Talk Radio. My friend Kim, who had popped in a couple of weeks ago when we were on. Artist. Yes, she interviewed him, and he was drunk off his ass, but she had fun talking to him. So anyway,
highlight Canadian Spider-Man at 9:31.
Say again.
Could we please put Canadian Spider-Man 9:31 in the marquee? Look at this.
Well, yeah, dude. Oh man, she's fantastic. I'm same here, my friend. I do love her. Let's see here. Again, an underrated Star Trek character. I really love Malcolm Reed. This guy is so good. Dominic Keating. Yes. I'm very reserved. As you said, he's the stiff upper lip Britishman.
He is, Keep calm and chive on.
Right, very formal. I love that when Archer invites him to have breakfast with his captain, he didn't like that. He said, underlings don't fraternize with their captains and different things like that. And that was an episode called Minefield, I think it was, which was a really good one.
Yeah.
But again, also his relationship with Trip. That's another thing we didn't really touch on that much, but these crews have certain pairings, and I don't mean like romantic, like friendship pairings, like, well, obviously there's the ones we know about from the original series and stuff, but there are a few of them in all the series. Those Tom Paris and Eric Kim are close, and on Next Generation, which we already talked about, Data and Geordi are close, and what have you. And on this show, it's Trip and Malcolm.
Yeah,
they're a great pairing, great friends. And I can't say enough good things about him. He's really
like the fact that they show a really a cool aspect of male relationships. Like I like the way that they interacted, where these two were like incredibly close friends, but it wasn't like some sort of messy and hyper emotional relationship. I loved that Trip gave him space and realized that he was just sort of this kind of guy who was inside of himself, except for, of course, when they get stranded in the shuttle pod there and they nearly die. Oh, Just Joe. She was in Starship Troopers, but she was also in Stargate. Did you know that she was in?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Zath liked Stephen Culp, and I like that relationship and that conflict between those two. Very good.
Excellent.
Great character development.
Excellent. Yeah. And I loved that too. That was such a great part of his character. It's just that for me, that it was also about the believability of some of these people. Like when these people start to really come to life, you feel really like some of these people are just cool people. I would just love to have so much more of them than 98 episodes.
What could we just? I just wanted 3 more seasons. That's all I asked, and oh my god. Anyway, yep, I love it, and of course, again, people talk about both Hoshi and and Travis, they didn't get as much to do, but they're still really good actors. They're still really good characters. They were used well. Did they get their spotlight stuff? They a little could have been more. Sure, it probably would have been more. They were really starting to do more things with Travis, especially in that fourth season toward the end of it. And it would have grown and developed more. No question that the characters of Archer and Trip and T'Pol and Reed and even Phlox, they developed a lot more. But let's face it. Let's just be honest about something here, everyone. The greatest character in all of Star Trek is right here. He's the best. He should have been the captain.
Do you carry cheese in your pocket for all dogs?
No cheese. He should have been the captain.
Adorable.
I love, but I really do like Hoshi though. Katie, I hear you. I like Hoshi. She adored Hoshi. Feminine, smart, grew into her confidence, much like. Yep. Again, we're saying that they probably didn't get enough, but they still were there. Hoshi did get a lot of nice scenes. It's not true that they never got anything. Just like Travis, it's not true that he never had some good things. People just say maybe they could have done more, but this show gets a bad rep on so many levels, and it gets misjudged by people who just probably watched it once or twice long ago and really don't focus on it like we do. So, what can you do?
But I agree with Katie, because of course Hoshi is communications, and she's not just communications. She's a linguist, and of course that's in my wheelhouse, because I've tried very hard in my life to fashion my academic career around Noam Chomsky. So I love that she is a genius linguist, but there are other things going on with her that people don't talk about. They haven't really given this character a thorough look through. And I would like to forward this in a defense of Hoshi. I didn't have this planned, but I'm just going to go off the top of my head here and say what I think.
Sure.
I loved the fact that Hoshi was a human being and she was an academic. She's a scholar. She's doing the same thing I do in my life. Of course, I'm not a polyglot, but I thoroughly enjoy teaching English. I thoroughly enjoy doing that. But at the same time, you guys, I have always dreamed when I was very young of growing up and being like Nichelle Nichols, being this communications and technology scholar who winds up this astronaut. But with Hoshi, we have something very interesting going on here that not a lot of people talk about. And that is the fact that Hoshi didn't just fall into being an astronaut like it was effortless. You guys, it's really scary to be an astronaut. It's really scary to know that if the ship breaks open, that Black Sea that you're sailing is it's just ice. You're frozen. You're dead. That's it. You're finished. And so when the ship creaks and frightens her, and when she has to go on an away mission, and when she has to be dematerialized and rematerialized, she is weighing this like an academic would, because of course they're keeping her real. So I think that I agree with my captain on my own ship here, Clobberin. Totally underrated, and I completely agree with Katie. What a great character. But I just think that if you saw it on the Sci-Fi Network one time in passing, and maybe it's an episode you missed, maybe you need to go back and look at that character again, because I found her character to be very dynamic, and I also found her character to be very realistic. She's actually one of the reasons why I felt like Enterprise was returning us back to science, because when you get in to a ship and you head out into the black expanse of space, it's not a simple thing, guys. It's not a little thing. We have all these visual effects now that help us to feel like it ain't nothing but what's the saying? It ain't no thing but a chicken wing. No, it's terrifying, because if anything happens, your goose is cooked. And so I liked that she was afraid and that she had to become an astronaut. I think that's great. Great comment, Katie.
Absolutely. Thank you, Katie, for that. And incidentally, another thing about her that people don't think about much, she is a Starfleet Federation legend because she pretty much invented the universal translator.
Yeah.
It's her. She's the mother of the universal translator for Starfleet.
Yep.
That's amazing. I love her.
Yep.
And let's see here.
Look at Eric on 9:41.
Yeah, exactly. Or Hoshi
The
Sickle.
ship breaks apart. You're a Hoshi Sickle.
It's funny you mentioned that, Zathras, about Hoshi and Travis being admirals, thanking Audrey for making and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know if any of you have picked up the book from a couple of years ago, the biography of James T. Kirk. There's some I have some criticisms of it here and there, but it's fairly interesting. And early on, they do mention an Admiral Mayweather.
Yeah.
They actually do mention Travis in there. So yeah, but anyway, I'm sure we all know that Travis went on to have a stellar career, probably captain of his own ship and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure, no question about it. Yeah, well, again, absolutely there, and again, well, I guess we can go on to the next one now. Again, a little tribute to Travis there. Travis, the great helmsman there, the boomer as they call him.
We wish that we blame. Can we go back to Travis? Travis,
sure.
Travis, I just want to say to you, Anthony Montgomery, that we so wish that you would have had more than 98 because you deserve to have your character develop. And this is a thing that happens in Star Trek. People just fall in love with certain characters, and then the writers start moving towards fleshing those characters out and allowing us to get to know them better. And we never got to know you, and that was the mistake of the networks who canceled this marvelous show. I hope. I can't. No, I don't want. No, I can't say what I want to say. I was going to say
sure you can.
Get your due, but I don't want them to touch anything.
No, don't leave it alone.
alone.
Please leave it alone. Yes, please, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Absolutely, though, and again, yes, I totally agree with that. And I guess we can go on to number 2. I guess because we're going to be in lockstep on all 3 of these, and it's not a coinky dink either. I'm sure.
Okay, well, my notes are really extensive on this, so everyone brace yourself. Number 2. I hope you have your Count Chocula cereal ready. Number 2 is Deep Space Nine. And of course, we have a commanding officer, Benjamin Sisko, played by Avery Brooks. We have Kira Nerys, but of course, in her culture, her name would actually be Nerys. That's what we would call her. And she's played by Nana Visitor. Then we have Chief of Security Odo, played by the fabulous, absolutely wonderful Renee Auberjonois. Then we have the bar owner, Quark, played by Armin Shimmerman. And we have Chief Medical Officer Julian Bashir, played by Malcolm McDowell's nephew. Now, he calls himself Alexander Siddiq, but he actually has a 14-word name in Arabic, and he changes it often. So this is another one of those little nuggets that I'm offering the show. So if you're ever looking through, I want you to take notice of his credits because his name is ever evolving. It's always changing. Then we have Chief Science Officer Jadzia Dax, played by Terry Farrell, Strategic Ops and First Officer of the Defiant, Worf, son of Moog, Rozhenko. Then we have Chief Ops, Senior Chief Petty Officer Miles O'Brien, played by Colm Meaney, the great Irishman. Okay, and here it comes, folks. Incoming. On and off screen, this team is outstanding. What earns my number 2 spot is that not only is this a cohesive, dynamic, diverse crew, but there are so many moments where these characters feel like real people. This crew goes above and beyond in ethics and conduct, becoming exceptional officers and exceptional human beings. So many times, Odo protects Quark despite loathing him. Jadzia is brilliant. Kira is clever, tough, and strategic. Miles is all about burning the midnight oil for the whole team. Worf would give his life, and the Jadzia and Worf romance is simply excellent television. Sisko trusts his team, which the other, Picard, he could take some lessons there. Cisco trusts his team, and because of that, we see a team that leads and follows whenever it's time for someone's expertise to come into play. Off-screen, these folks are grateful, humble, dignified humans you can't help but love. I love that Alexander Siddig was quoted as saying he was enthusiastic about being someone with a North African heritage and being on television. This show won praise for its portrayal of minorities. DS9 takes heat for going dark, but DC Fontana, who was so close with Gene Roddenberry that they co-wrote personal letters together, said Gene would have loved the series for its content close to World War II and its portrayal of military service and stories because Gene served. If we return to that what makes a great team or great crew list that I said at the top of the show, we see DS9 exemplifies every aspect of teamwork and simply being outstanding human beings. And that's all I got for you on DS9, folks.
Nice. But yeah, and by the way, that what's that? Echo. Sorry, it'll go away again. Well, me too, Mark. Yeah, Ellen Dolan, in reference to the Obscure Spirit TV movie. Is it still doing that? God, and it stops. I don't understand this thing. I gotta get a new one. Well, thank you, by the way. Sorry about all that technical problem there.
That's okay.
What a great show. I'm a believer, and it took me a while. It was a long road, believe it or not, to getting from there to here for me with this show. I know, long series, but what are you gonna do? But it made a believer out of me, and I didn't want to. I'm just a stubborn old cuss, but
I completely agree.
Great characters,
Yes.
Great characterization. Again, that's important to me. And it's I'm not breaking any ground here by saying that, but for me, if you don't sell me the characters, we're not gonna really be. You're not gonna get me. So, and when they had 7 years to establish them, they did them beautifully.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, I mean, this guy right here. Good God, I already loved it. By the way, I already loved Avery Brooks from Spencer for Hire and the short-lived spin-off Man Called Hawk.
I didn't like him at first, not only because, as many people at home know, I am a Gene Roddenberry fanatic. So I'm totally about the relationship with Isaac Asimov. I'm totally about the relationship with Stephen Hawking. I'm totally about his view of the world and human beings. I absolutely love Gene Roddenberry. So I did not like that DS9 went dark. But here we're not judging against Gene Roddenberry. We're not judging adherence to canon. Here we're judging crews. But as far as Cisco goes, he was not my favorite right off the hop. Because he's a stage actor. And I felt that the return to that very opera on-stage quality that we were accustomed to in TOS did not suit the darker storylines. So I actually had to warm up to him because I thought, oh my goodness, this is exactly like, Saturday night at the opera. I'm watching an opera, and I do attend the opera. So he just had this on-stage quality, and I'm very happy that he shed it because at first I was like, oh.
Well, no, it took me a while as well. But I'm talking about just the actor. When they cast him, I was like, oh, that's good because this guy's cool. This guy's great. Always, again, he's fantastic on Spencer, and again, the Hawk show didn't last very long.
Katie watches Spencer for Hire. Like,
really?
Katie.
Nice.
Katie's this like young, beautiful ballerina college girl. She's totally awesome. I can say all that because she's said all that in public before. But just the thing is, can I just say, guys, Katie Carr has the brain of a Gen X kid. She's just, Katie, if you have a chance to follow Katie Carr, please follow Katie Carr because she is such a cool chick. She is I'm telling you, if you didn't know how
She
old
really
she
is.
was, and if she didn't have a picture up, you'd swear she was Gen X.
Smart Steve, 68 is here now. All right, my friend.
Oh, hi.
All right, my good friend. I'm so glad you popped in, sir. Yes, Katie, you are awesome, and I'm glad you like because Spencer for Hire. I guess it's one of the services now, but I mean it's I guess it's aired in syndication a lot, so
Yeah.
only lasted 3 seasons, but it was a cool show. It was, as a lot of my friends who are sticklers for the Robert Parker books, as good as much as they like Robert Urich, they say he was really not right for the character of Spencer from the books, but I liked him on the show because I saw it before I read books, the Parker books. So anyway, but he is as Hawk. So when they cast him, I think, well, that's pretty damn nice. I like that because he's such a great actor. It does take a while for Cisco to get off the ground as a character in the first season, I would say. But that's what an ensemble cast is for. You got plenty of time. You could take your time. Benjamin Lafayette Cisco. Some like to jokingly say, well, he didn't really get good till he shaved his head. I don't agree with that. It's funny, but I don't agree with that. I mean, he got better and better as time went along. But he does, let's be honest, it looks like a bit more of a badass like this, though.
Yeah, but he is a stage actor. So the thing is that you can't really be upset with him because it seems like he's overacting in the beginning. And folks at home, that's not what's happening. The thing is that I actually this is just pure speculation, but I think he actually looked at Bill's performance and in socio-historical context with those cheap sets and this sort of evolving idea of what computers were, what Bill was doing with his cast and that cast in TOS. What they were doing is trying to heighten this sense of drama, this sense of urgency, this sense of fear. And they had to do that because we didn't have computers in every home back then. We didn't have computers in our pockets walking around with these smartphones. So that had to be created. So it's pure speculation on my part. But to me, when I see Avery Brooks behaving the way that he did at the beginning, I do not see a man who's overacting, who doesn't know what he's doing. I see a man who has brought his stage performance to his performance. And he's done that because he's obviously aware of TOS and he wants to bring that gorgeous, lush and beautiful opera quality to the film. The thing is that the technology that surrounds him makes it seem odd at first. So he gets into the role, but I would definitely not wag my finger at him too hard. This is a talented stage actor who knew exactly what he was doing. He just had to find the right way to tweak it for film.
He's amazing, but yeah, and again, just such a great character and a total and a character in interviews, guys. Wow, he is fun to watch in an interview. I'll just say that to you. Which is he enjoys himself, which is really cool. And but yeah, Cisco, of course, the big man, love him. But the show is again a great ensemble cast. Dana Visitor is really terrific.
Beautiful woman.
Yeah, wonderful, beautiful woman. Again, you got to love this terrorist right here. She is so well written, so good, and that's what she is, by the way, folks. She is a terrorist,
yes,
but she's got a new life, and it's not easy for her to cope, especially at first with all the rules and everything. She never, she didn't really play by the rules that much ever, and I just I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, but every time I hear all these idiots complaining about no good female characters, I don't know what shows they ever watched because this show's chock full of them.
They weren't watching Star Trek. That's for damn
sure. They weren't
sure.
watching Star Trek, and this is one of them right here. She is just special. Yeah. And I love Norris. And she's a great character. That that term strong female. I don't like strong female. I don't like strong male. I just like good character because nobody's all strong all the time. If they are, they're not a good character.
No.
Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and she was not afraid to play this character as weak and flawed, and yet no one would say she's not strong. And not to her face.
I think that it showed the strength of the character, that it was weak and that it was strong, and that she could bring that character to life to help us to feel like this woman was real. I thought her performance was just absolutely aces. She's just a beautiful little sweetheart. I love her. She's a powerful, smart, funny, talented woman, and it's evident she's got it all. For me, she is just one of the great women of Star Trek. She is a Star Trek icon, and I will die on this hill.
She's Smart Steve makes a good point, to go back to Cisco just for a brief second. That's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen on any TV show, is the relationship between Cisco and his son Jake.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I mean, as a father of it with a son, that relationship just really is just special for the show. And yes, Smart Steve, he was a good role model with his son, good role model, period. And again, that relationship between he and Jake is great.
Yeah. Well, Scott Lofton and Avery Brooks brought that relationship to light, but I completely agree with you, Clobberin, and I agree with Smart Steve. I think we need more male relationships portrayed like that on screen. Avery made people want to be better parents, not just men, but women as well. He wanted to exemplify fatherhood, what it was to be a parent, and to truly, truly love your child with all your heart, soul, and mind. And to just be, what a great father, and what a great son, and such a pleasure to watch them on television. Just wonderful.
Great stuff. Really wonderful. And again, Katie, yes. Katie says, I appreciate it. Kira, as a character, as a person of faith, I can relate to her, along with her strength and conviction for standing against wrongdoers. She did that, didn't she? Ooh, she was relentless, and she was tough as nails, which is fantastic. Yeah. And then, of course, I was lucky enough to meet this beautiful lady.
Oh,
she is, oh my goodness. Terry Farrell is great.
Beautiful. Another Star Trek icon. Just this woman is just, she's a legend. Well, I can't really use the word legend, because legend means you're not sure if it actually happened. She actually happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this woman, again, I don't know exactly how old she was when she took this role, but she had to play a 300-year-old being.
Yeah.
That just happened to be at this point in the body of a beautiful young woman.
Yeah.
That's not easy. And because she's so good and just so, just elegant in the role and so good in the role, it's always fun that Cisco calls her old man.
Yeah.
Because, and I love the friendship between she and Cisco. Even that one, not just because he was friends with Curzon, but they struck up a friendship here that is just as big as the one as we always heard about that he had with Curzon, which I thought was nice. She's amazing.
And this is where we start to see what DC Fontana was talking about how eventually Gene would have approved, because of course there are several clips from documentaries of Majel being interviewed where during phase 2, when they were talking just after phase 2, she openly admitted that Gene wanted to have a gay character. Gene wanted to have lesbian, gay, bi, and even trans characters, and the network just simply said no. They said that can't happen. And so people are always blaming it on writers or producers or people involved with the show. But Majel herself has just come right out and said that he was specifically told by the network no. And so Jadzia is the place where Gene got to have his cake and eat it too. He got exactly what he wanted. He put people in a position where they would have to question their own hatred and their own prejudices in a way that disarmed that hatred and that prejudice, and just helped them to see it all in a different light. And she's fab. She's fab.
She's so good. And again, I cannot stress enough that it's an underrated performance, because you'll hear, because she is playing this 300-year-old being. It's sort of similar, not to go too far off of Star Trek, Matt Smith on Doctor Who. I'm a big fan of Doctor Who, well, before it got destroyed. At this point, he's 26-year-old when he was first cast as 1,000-plus-year-old Time Lord. He nails it so much you believe this guy is 1,000 years old, even though he looks like a young kid.
Yeah.
And that's always special acting to me.
Yeah.
And she's like that.
Yeah.
I just use him as an example. Character playing someone that's really, really old. And it's very similar to that character. I thought he did a fabulous job, and I thought she did a fabulous job. Like Katie says, I love Jadzia. She says, "Oh, sweet Jadzia, my favorite character in the entire series. Smart, beautiful, cultured, and I adored her love story with Worf. That was one that bothered me a little bit. Maybe I was just jealous, though.
You know, I think you were definitely jealous.
Well, definitely that.
The thing that I really love about this too, folks, and I don't want us to go down a rabbit hole with this, is do you see how on these streams, time and time again, people who admit to being conservative, they love these characters? So
Thank you.
The stuff that's going on in this world of saying, you know, you're in a basket of deplorables, or you're terrible and you're horrible, or you're dead to me. Or you think this because you don't like this. It's not true. It's not true.
I'd have to hate my own daughter then, because she's gay, and it's just ridiculous. You're right. You know what? Thank you so much for saying that, because we do get put into that stupid stereotype that, incidentally, one of my favorite political activists right now is a gay man named Brandon Straka. To say that you can't have any belief, you're told if you're gay you have to have a certain belief system. You're told if you're black you have a certain belief system, and that's just an asinine stereotype. I really appreciate you saying that. It's very important.
Well, you know, it's also very important to me because, you know, I think on this stream, and definitely through my friendship with you, one of the reasons why you and I have become friends so quickly and so closely is because of this shared ethic. And you and I have completely different politics.
Indeed.
But our politics have nothing to do with how we feel about social issues. And like I said at the beginning there, you know, people are taking for granted that that's a crazy thing to say. Well, it's only crazy because people have made it that way. Remember, governance is about a collection of ideas. Those ideas come together, and then that's how you run the society. It's nothing more or less than that. Please love your neighbor. Please listen to each other. It's so important.
Thank you so much. We'll get to Ezra in a little bit, by the way. We're not going to slide Ezra.
I'm getting called out. Mark's calling me out.
Oh, what'd you do, Mark?
I love it.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get there, buddy. I love that. We're not like that. I like Ezra. But I got to go to one, in my opinion, one of the greatest actors and characters in all of Star Trek. He has been in so much Star Trek, both shows. This man is fantastic. I cannot say enough how much I love Miles Edward O'Brien, Chief O'Brien. And he's had some great, you talk about giving some great spotlights. This man's had some brilliant episodes.
Yeah.
Hard Time is one I've watched over and over again. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that one.
What a concept. Like,
the concept
itself about that. Isn't that beautiful. Just one of the greatest science fiction concepts of all time? Oh, it's such a
concept. And again, that's Star Trek for you. They examine things you couldn't examine without those concepts, and they do it so well.
Yeah.
Good God, is he great? Look, by the way, even though I don't have Jake up here because he's not with the crew, Jake, I really do think Jake was a very good character because he was written as just a kid and who wasn't like super genius or anything. He was just a really good kid and a special kid and a writer, which we all love that.
Yeah.
So yes. So at least give him a good mention there. When someone says you think that, it means they have no argument and resort to mind reading. Yes, Steve, there you go, man. Miles O'Brien, though, like you mentioned, this guy's been on trial on Cardassia.
Yes.
Well, of course, he was on the Enterprise from day one. He was an Encounter at Farpoint. He was on Next Generation, on and off. And it's interesting. He was a great character on there. Don't get me wrong. Yep. But he was, he was in a sort of a backup there. But they let him shine on that show so much that I guess it became a no-brainer when they got Deep Space Nine together. This is a guy who was, I guess he was on Star Trek for 14 years, if you think about it.
Yep. Yeah.
And
great guy.
Yeah, I love this guy. Never heard a bad word about him.
Me neither.
Great actor, and in a couple of movies as well. So yeah, O'Brien, oh man, and a magnificent engineer.
Yeah.
So love this guy, love this actor. Let's see where we're at now. Let's see. Let's take a look at this gentleman again. Raquel Briggs. Good guy. What another wonderful character. This whole, I mean, they're all so great on this show. He is, again, I love Odo.
Yeah.
I don't know what more to say. He's got superpowers, which is kind of funny. I mean, in a sense. And as you know, as a comic book guy like that, everyone likes it. You know, the changelings is a trope that's been in a lot of science fiction and fantasy.
Yes.
But they made it work. And they made it work brilliantly with the founders.
Yeah.
We don't have to go too far into that rabbit hole, but the founders and all the concepts there about Odo. But for the first few years, we didn't know any of that. He didn't know what he was.
And the chat is blowing up with heartfelt love for this man, not just his character, but this man. Thank you so much for your amazing comments, everyone. Yes, we all miss Renee. It's so horrible that he died, and my heart goes out to his family because what a marvelous human being he was. I used to follow him on Twitter, and just the beautiful pictures that he would post and the things that he would say, and he was just what a beautiful human being. What a genuinely nice man. And it's just awful. Gone too soon. I
absolutely great actor. Good God. Great in he's been in a lot of things. I think one of the first things I saw him was on MASH, the original MASH film, which I love, by Robert Altman, 1970.
Oh, that's the way back.
He was the original Father Mulcahy. He was Dago Red, they called him on there. And he was great in that. He was been in a lot of Robert Altman films. He's been in a lot of stuff. So again, I've seen, and of course he was on Benson, if you remember that old sitcom. You see him in stuff like that. He's like this nerdy old dude or whatever.
Yeah.
And when he's Odo in the makeup, and the makeup changed and evolved over time, of course.
Yeah.
But he's shape changer, so you don't have to say it was the makeup. He was just messing around with his face that he could never get right, which was, again, pretty clever.
Yes.
But I love it because I love this kid. Odo is, he's a tough guy. And if you look at Robert Bergemois, the last thing you think of that actor is stereotype him as a tough guy. But Odo is a tough guy. He's a no-nonsense lawman, which I love. You know, he's a cop.
He is.
He's that serious cop, man, the sheriff in the town. He treats these places like he's the sheriff in that town. And I love that aspect of him. He's dedicated to being a cop. I love when he's having all those wonderful exchanges he's had with Quark, who we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
Those exchanges are fun. I like when Quark's trying to tempt him and he says, "Isn't there anything you want?" He says, "What do you mean?" Well, you know, don't you want things? Because he was ragging on Worf about wanting to, about Quark about acquiring things. He says, "I have my work. That's all I need."
Yeah.
And he tries to tempt him with some possessions, and he thinks about it for a second. Nah. All he wants to do is catch criminals.
There was one thing he wanted.
And we know that.
This is where the fandom divides. So everyone in the chat, please feel free to unload your feelings. Are you pro Odo, Kira Nerys together? Pro Odo and Nerys knocking boots?
Katie,
or are you against?
Katie is definitely pro.
Oh yes, Katie, yes.
Yeah, we got one big vote there. Katie, that's enough for me there. Katie should. Katie, you get the rule here, and it was never a problem for me. I thought it was pretty well done. And I'm a dude, so I got to be a classic dude about it. I'm like, relationship stuff. Come on, man. Kidding, it's fine. I'm just joking, but But yeah, Steve, that's right. He was on Benson, and Neelix was on there. Was Neelix on there? I didn't know that. Ethan Phillips. I did not know he was on Benson.
Remember that. Yes, Smart Steve. He has definitely a last name that requires a little help with pronunciation. For me, I've tried my best to do it using the Canadian French way of pronouncing it. So yeah.
Nice. My friend Steve Mitchum is an animator himself, and he says there is a book called Acting for Animators, where the author spends a few paragraphs on how good Renee Auberjonois was a voice actor as well on cartoons. Nice. Thanks, Steve. Good. What a great. And we got another pro Odo Kira there for Mark C, my good buddy Mark
got
C.
One above it too.
Yeah, I got pro. Everyone likes it. It worked.
Good.
It worked. Yeah, and it was. Well, look, who wouldn't be in love with Kira? I mean, she's fantastic. I'm in love with her. So why shouldn't he be? You know what's a great compliment to Odo's character is this guy right here. Uh, what a duo. What a tete-a-tete these two. I mean,
Yeah.
they
Quark
tangled,
is,
didn't
Quark
they?
is Quark is a legendary character, but once again, this also divides the fandom. We have a very positive and very cool chat, and they're very much in agreement with us. But it's just as likely that you could hop into a chat room and you could hear all about how people did not want Odo to be with Kira, and you can also hear about how much people don't like Ferengis. I have no idea why, because I thoroughly enjoy all of the Ferengi storylines. I enjoy the Court character. I thought that he brought out the best in the crew. I actually can't imagine um, DS9 without Quark in it. Of course, and of course, everyone should know too that Gene Roddenberry wanted the Ferengi to be incredibly evil, and I think even cannibals, and they were supposed to be like really evil characters. And of course, the second people saw Ferengis on screen, they were like, "This is hysterical. We love these little guys." So, yeah, it's just I love the Ferengi. So, what does the
Well,
chat think of Ferengi? So,
it's interesting that you say that because it's a testament to how good the writing and Armin Shimmer is to make me like a Ferengi because I'm one of them. I couldn't stand them. I know they were just I thought they were a shrill analogy for the next generation to dump on capitalism. I thought it was a little shallow and a little transparent, and they were never really very well written as characters that often. They were a plot device, except on Enterprise when Jeffrey Combs played one very well on that one, and he did it on here. And I thought on this show they made me because I just thought Ferengis are annoying, and they made great Ferengi characters, which again proves they're no bad characters; they're bad writers or writers who take shortcuts. On this show, to make you like these money grubbing little trolls it's great writing and the performances. So I was one of those that didn't like Ferengi much. I
well, for me,
love him
as
on
a
this.
woman, there are some things that are happening with Ferengi, especially on Ferenginar, that are
Yes.
very
Oh yeah.
special geopolitical statements
Yes.
on women being able to have a little bit of agency, women being able to have power. And I don't want to encroach upon things that are too controversial because
No, please go ahead.
all of this.
No, I agree. Please go ahead.
Look back on these episodes and you see things that are going on with Moogie. You can definitely see that it's women in the audience, a lot of women, especially women who are looking at the understory in the story. A lot of women are cheering because, we love that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
I did too. I love Moogie, by the way, played by she was the old Second City actress.
Andrea Martin.
It was Andrea Martin. I always get her confused with the other nice lady. Andrea Martin was great. Yeah. That was a good. And again, no, I love that whole thing. You clothes are females. That's all they said. They didn't give you much on it. And then we get to see a great female character of Ferengi.
Yes. And when you look geopolitically at what's going on in the world today, and
Yes.
you flip that like a pancake, you can see what's actually being said there, and it's just marvelous for women and girls all over the world. And, I love that. Yeah, do you perform books? Actually, no, I don't perform books.
I don't know if he was asking you or just saying it. Oh, dude. I enjoyed the Ferengi through. Yeah, and again, Rom started out as just a jerkweed, and they totally revamped this character, and I figured no one would notice. Watch the early episodes. Rom is just a nasty, and you don't like it. Then he became a really good character. Of course, great at Matt. I can't say I think or Judge's Digital Neck or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, you made a character that could have just been a cartoon, which I love cartoons, but you know what I'm saying. It could have been just shallow and hollow. You made Rum and even Nog. At first, I used to go, "Oh God, I hate Nog." And I admitted I did, but he grew on me. And again, great performance by, unfortunately, gentleman who
Really? You
passed
would say
away.
that about Nog? And
Oh, I
and
love him now.
Clobberin, you're a parent. Weren't you ever afraid when your kids were little that they would meet a kid like Nog? You know, the kid that they know is bad, but they hang out with the bad kid
Yeah,
anyway because the bad kid, they want to test their own danger zone. They want to test what they believe in, and then they sort of
yeah,
find themselves. That's what Dog represents for
sure.
me.
Oh,
Is
they won me over. They won me over.
that kid that just you're like that, don't hang around with that kid.
You can win anybody over with good writing and acting, and they did with him. And I
Yeah,
understand at first when he first popped up and started hanging out with Jake, I was like, I thought they wrote him in that first season just to be a little annoying, especially in an episode called Storyteller.
yeah,
And I hated that one because that episode almost made me stop watching it.
yeah.
And then I persevered and I love it. And I think he just, again, like everybody on this show, he was well written for. And yeah, no, I like him now. I was just saying, I have to admit, at first
Yes, it's true. It's
is
true. And you
and
know how I feel about Paper Moon. And
oh
you know
God,
how
yes,
I feel
love
about
that one. Good old
yeah.
Bobby, good old James. I said Bobby Darren. James Darren. I hope he's doing well. I've heard he's had some issues lately. I'll tell you another guy that needs to get a little spotlight here. I think Dr. Julian Bashir is a wonderful character as well. I love
And
the actor.
this man is has said nothing but wonderful things about Star Trek to the
Nice.
and I love the fact that you know like that he is that he's talking about the fact that he's North African and that it's important to him. And some people just say, "Oh, that's Malcolm McDowell's nephew," but he is of North African descent.
Hmm.
This was very important to him, and he felt that being a part of DS9 and that becoming a visible thing to the public was incredibly important to him. He loved it. He was so grateful.
Nice.
What a nice man.
That is amazing. I did not. I was not aware of that, and I love hearing it because he's a great character. I mean, and I guess look, a lot of that comes to that. He's a wonderful actor. The young doctor, we of course they added and changed a few things about his character later to his origin, which was fine. It was great. So, but we didn't know a lot of the things we knew about him until later.
Yeah.
But I liked him from get go. I mean, I thought he's just tremendously likable as an actor and a character. You had a doctor for the first time who wasn't like an older, experienced doctor. He was a young guy just starting out,
Yes.
which was interesting because you know
Yes.
you got McCoy or Phlox or Crusher, or the all graphic doctors different, but they were all pretty seasoned veterans.
Mm-hmm. And
But
he was a skirt chaser. Let's
yes,
be honest.
true.
And that's not usual for Star Trek. For Star Trek, all of the doctors are incredibly noble and beautiful people who have the highest morals and ethics, and they impart that on screen and in their dialogue, and they're just these are passionate, wonderful people. And Bashir was that when he was at work.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
He also loved to go down to the pub and raise a pint and throw darts and chase.
Yes, I love that. By the way, a brief aside there. Yes, Katie, thank you for
Yes.
that. Aaron beating Aaron Eisenberg, Nog, was a sweet soul. Followed him on Twitter and Instagram. His podcast, The Seventh Rule, which is still on, is incredible and so positive. Aaron is greatly, yes, he passed away like I believe it was last year.
Yeah.
Such a shame. He was really a really good, fine actor,
Yeah.
and I'm glad to hear he was a good guy. Thank you for that, Katie. You're wonderful. I really do
Nice
appreciate
to
that.
say. Yep, for sure.
You know, one of the great things about Bashir is another character we were talking about earlier, O'Brien. Again, the Bashir O'Brien relationship is fantastic.
Yes.
I love it. O'Brien didn't like him. He was annoyed with him at first, if you remember.
Well, actually, in real life, the two hated each other.
No kidding. I did not know that.
Yeah, well, it's been revealed, I guess, at several public appearances that because of what's going on in Ireland with the with the British being in Ireland, and of course there are people out there know the Northern Ireland is not a part of the Republic of Ireland, and there's that stuff going on there. So apparently those two would get inebriated in real life and nearly came to blows. They
Really?
argued quite extensively. Well, this is what people who report from the con say, and there are several of them. You can find evidence of that on some of the BBS, and you can also find it on Reddit. So you can hear firsthand accounts of people who have heard Alexander talking about it. And Alexander is really open about it, right? And that's a really sore spot for Irish people. And so it's a highly political thing, and it's scary, and it's not really something that we should talk about on this cast. But there was definitely some not. Yeah. Wow.
That's a damn shame. Sorry to hear that, because, well, shows how good actors they are, because the chemistry between the two characters was really, really on point. It was really great.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to hear that about them. I'm sure they're both good dudes, and it's a shame they have those differences. That's terrible, though. Yeah, but those things happen, I guess. By the way, Steve mentioned, we talked about when we did our episodes last week. I agree. Trials and Tribulations is wonderful. It's my favorite DS9 episode for sentimental reasons. Let's see here. Zathras. The only thing I didn't like about Bashir was he was going to bring down Section 31, but he had great scenes with it. The stuff with Sadler. That was. And another thing, Bashir had two great relationships on that show. The other one was with Garrick, who we'll talk about when we talk about the recurring characters. Yes. But Garrick was a wonderful character, and his relationship with Garrick was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I thought Garrick was outstanding. You know, the last time I came on your show, I spoke at length about what I think the Cardassians added to Star Trek canon, and all of those characters were played by incredibly powerful actors who brought their A game.
Amazing.
This is like a film acting that is it's even beyond television. This was the Cardassians. Pick any actor, pick any Cardassian, and you've got yourself something that is just spine-tinglingly terrifying. It's moving, it's engrossing, and Garrick is no exception. The simple Taylor.
Brilliant character. Well, so brilliant play by Andrew Robinson. Hard to believe he's the guy that Dirty Harry killed in the first movie. In his first movie. And then there's a guy who we touched on a little bit earlier, but I think Worf, again, played incredibly well for so long by Michael Dorn. Truly was, I think, The Way of the Warrior is a wonderful episode. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But he was good on Next Gen, and I think he really was even better for the 3 years or whatever that he was on this series. They gave him a lot of character development. These writers were just terrific at that. So yeah.
Well, that's what happened with O'Brien and with Worf. And so, you know, this is why when people are like, oh, you know, like what happened there with Enterprise? Well, don't be so hard on Enterprise, because a lot of these characters that you're talking about, like this, you know, this huge cast, a lot of these characters had to wait until the quote unquote third or fourth act because they were going down the line introducing us to all of these humans. And so, you know, here in DS9, this is when we finally get this wonderful chance to truly meet Worf and to truly meet O'Brien, because prior to that, we don't get to know them at all.
Yeah.
Well, you do, but just not to the same extent. Everybody knows what I mean. Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend.
Listen, was it? I wish was Worf had killed Toro. But yeah. So yeah, again, great on both shows, and again, a terrific actor and a terrific character.
Yeah.
Played him with distinction, I would say.
I love him.
Say again. I'm sorry.
I love him. I also find him extremely attractive in real life. Man's a hottie. This man is a tall glass of water. This man is like a 9 out of 10 for me. I love Michael Dorn.
Well,
even with an armadillo on his face.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he wears that thing well. I guess it's a nice hat. Think of it as a hat.
Nice hat. And now you're making me think of all the period pieces that I love, and now I'm seeing his prosthetic as a fascinator. I'd like to thank you for poisoning my mind, Clobberin.
Oh, I do that to everyone. I am a poisoner that way. Oh, good. Well, because I'm the thing, I'm made of rocks, and so I just like to make everybody else.
Yes, I understand.
Well, look, I believe are we done with you, Snyder? Anything else, or would you
Well,
rather?
what was
Are
your
you
number
ready?
2?
Well, the same. We're the same on all these. Same
Oh
order.
my gosh,
God.
yeah!
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I would have told you if we weren't. No. We're on the same page with this order.
Yeah.
We love all these shows, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, we're just put them in order there. And I knew we were going to be on. I knew number 1 was a no-brainer that we'd be on together, but spoiler. So shall we number 1 it? Number 1.
Should. We have a comment here about Morn. I just want to let everyone know that character was actually inspired by Norm from Cheers.
That's right. Yeah.
And and a little bit of trivia, because you guys know I like to throw out the trivia for you. He never speaks.
That's right. Never. And they always say what's good, but they also add Norm will talk your ears off. And I love it. Obviously, they always make sure you catch it where he's not talking. They said, "Well, it was nice talking to you, Morn." And they even did a whole episode about him, who mourns for Morn, which was kind of a fun episode.
Eric K. We're actually we're not talking about Garrick or Ducat because tonight we're actually ranking the best crews. So
yeah, we're doing the crews. We're going to do those people, though. Yes.
Yes.
We're going to do what we call the recurring characters, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and we could, if you really want us to, Eric, one day, if there's a lot of interest in it, we could do a whole Cardassian show. We could talk about the planet. We could talk about the history. We could talk about the trivia. We could talk about the actors. We could do all of that if you'd like. But yeah, tonight we're talking about like leadership, cohesive teams, kind of like which crew would you choose to be on? So Clobberin asked me to rank my crews, and then he is giving his rank for the.
Oh yeah, well, we're gonna do plenty of different topics. We including. I really want to do shows where we're just focused on basic talk of each show as well. But yes, and we might even get Kim Kardashian to join us. Who knows, Eric? I know she really loves Star Trek. No, I don't know.
Yes, Eric, at 10:29 p.m. The reason why we included Quark is because he's included in the official canon. So if you
and he was a regular too. He's on every episode.
Yes, he is considered a main character. So when we're looking at like the Roddenberry ideal of choosing a certain number of people, and they all sort of play these different roles to play off of one another, Quark is a part of that. So he's not in the periphery of the cast. He's actually a part of it.
Right, and he's a regular. You could make the case that Jake sort of is in the sense that his name is in the opening credits, but he's still Jake. There are plenty of episodes where he's not there. There's probably almost or very, very few episodes without Armin Shimmerman as Quark, who, by the way, when he was making the show, he was the principal for the first few years on Buffy the Vampire Slayer at the same time.
Yeah,
he played Principal Skinner until he got eaten by a big worm.
Mark's 10:30 p.m.
If you do a Kardashian episode, there'll be a that doesn't cock.
You're making me do the ugly laugh.
Oh, damn you. Damn you, sir. How dare you, sir?
Yeah.
Well, our number 1, big surprise, big shocker. No,
big shocker.
No, just kidding.
Everyone who knows that I love TOS, here it is, folks.
Yes, we do. A nice 3rd season shot right there.
Captain James T. Kirk, played by William Shatner. I'm just going to give it to y'all, folks, and then if we have some people who are new to TOS or are just going back to it, this is just a refresher. So we've got James T. Kirk, played by William Shatner. We've got first an executive officer and science officer Spock, played by the late great Leonard Nimoy. We have Chief Medical Officer Leonard Bones McCoy, played by the wonderful and amazing DeForest Kelley. His friends and family actually call him D, as in DEE. We have Chief Engineer Montgomery Scotty Scott, great Canadian, played by the late, great James Doohan, who was actually pretty much the same person in real life as he was on TOS. We have the communications officer, Natoya Uhura, played by Nichelle Nichols. We have helmsman Hikaru Sulu, played by George Takei, and we have navigator Pavel Chekhov, played by Walter Koenig. We have head nurse Christine Chappell, played by Majel Barrett. She's a Barrett at this time. And then we have yeoman Janice Rand, played by Grace Lee Whitney. And so that's the crew here. And I'll give the reason for my rank. First, let's talk about diversity. So we were talking about, at the top of this show, I was talking about leadership and teams and what makes a great crew. And we were talking about how they communicate with each other, how they work on goals, how they contribute their fair share, how they support one another, how the team is diverse and there's good leadership and they're organized and they have fun. Well, here I'd like to first talk about diversity. And please saddle up, lock and load, folks, because I'm gonna totally unload here. William Shatner is the grandson of Jewish immigrants from Austria-Hungary and the Russian Empire, which is now the Ukraine and Lithuania. No, the in front of Ukraine. Leonard Nimoy's parents were Jewish immigrants from a part of the Ukraine that I can't pronounce. His father had to walk to Poland to sneak over the border. His mother and grandmother were smuggled out on a horse-drawn wagon in a pile of hay. Dee is from Georgia, USA. James Doohan is a Canadian whose parents immigrated from Bangor, Northern Ireland. Grace Dell Nichols is an African-American feminist icon. George Hosato Takai is a Japanese American who lived in 3 internment camps and had family who died in the bombings of Hiroshima. I think Americans say Hiroshima. Here we say Hiroshima. We have Walter Koenig. He is the son of a Russian Jewish immigrants. Koenig's father was a communist who was investigated by the FBI during the MacArthur era. Majel Lay Hudek. Hudek is a Slavic name, a common Czech surname. Majel is a feminist icon. We have Marianne Chase. She was adopted by the Whitney family. She is a feminist icon. So when we talk about diversity, it's important to remember that there were 3 Jewish men, an African-American woman, a woman who came from a long line of war-torn activity, a Japanese man who was openly gay, a woman who was adopted and struggled, and a man whose parents came from a legacy some describe as a genocide, the Great Starvation in Ireland. This crew is often dismissed as toxic Trek. This isn't the prejudiced show new Trek fans think it is. That said, there is no better team, no team more professional, dedicated, and talented than those of the Enterprise 1701. Disappointments are those on the cast who did not appreciate the gravity of being plucked from obscurity and in so doing behaved badly and ungratefully. But by and large, this cast knew how to behave like stars with a little bit of infighting just for drama. And those are my comments on TOS, you fine folks.
Love it. Very well done. Very nicely done. Thank you so much for that. We're still echoing. No, it stopped it. Let me just, I'm going to do a system. I hope you all hear me. Yeah, well, I love it so much. And again, I love what you just said. That is beautiful. Here, in fact, I'm going to celebrate everyone. Let's have a really cool, crazy piece of art.
Yay!
Oh, Star Trek characters. But
have you seen the full poster?
Huh? Say again?
Have you seen that full poster?
Yes. It's
every character that has ever been in Star Trek. And my daughter brought that poster to me. Well, she didn't bring it to me. She showed it to me. Nice. And said, Mom, name them all.
We could do that easily. I know. We'll do that one night. We'll just name them and it would be easy for us. For you and me. For the 2 of us, it would be easy. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah. Oh, Katie. Wow. Brilliant work. Yes.
It
Katie,
is nice.
You have to get this.
I love this thing.
Anyways, you were saying, please tell me about your passion for TOS and why it's your favorite crew.
Well, and now I'm going to scare everyone with an ugly picture. Me on the bridge. I'm the captain. But this is the real captain right here, Captain James Tiberius Kirk. I've often said when it comes to my favorite character of all of Star Trek, there are many people who love Spock the best, some love Kirk the best, and so on and so forth. Some love Janeway the best, they love Cisco, all that stuff. You know, my favorite character on Star Trek is a Gestalt entity I call the Trinity. Because if you just take that off, you just look at my avatar, these three gentlemen right here, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, they're one character in a sense to me. Yeah. Because they break off any piece and it's not the same. Yes, there was an episode or two. I think one episode past the pilot where D. Kelly was not in the story. Mm-hmm. It wasn't an Errand of Mercy, strangely enough. But for the most part, he's there. And it's the three of them.
Yeah. Well, Gene Roddenberry said that was what it was, is that DeForest Kelley, D, represented his heart and Nimoy represented his head, so that every man needed to fight his heart and his head in order to be whole. And here on the chat, I see everyone. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt Clobberin while he's talking.
No problem. Go ahead.
This is Shore Leave, guys. So this was not a character. The rabbit is actually a figment of their imaginations. When somebody on the planet thinks of something, it instantly comes to life. So anyway, I'm not
Carol's rabbit.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is a Brer Rabbit. But yeah, I love that episode. No, but yes, it is. Again, you have heart, soul, mind. They are one entity, and yet, of course, they're very different. They're individuals, sure, but as far as the show dynamic is concerned, they are the triumvirate. They're the Trinity, and again, although there was maybe one episode. Again, there was Errand of Mercy, and I can't think of very many other ones where McCoy's not there in some respect, and it is. You cannot write this show, this crew, without the three of them.
No,
it does not happen.
No.
And I love it. If it had gone, and because you're a big fan of The Cage, if it had gone that way, I don't know. Pike would have been his own man, and he would have been. It would have been really good and interesting. But somehow, lightning in a bottle, and then some. A lot of lightning.
Well, Bryce wasn't supposed to be there either, though, right? So I totally agree with what you're saying, because Bryce wasn't supposed to be there either. He always wanted D. So what you're saying is totally true. And everyone in the chat, it's not Briar Rabbit or Brer Rabbit.
No.
That's not what that one is from. I believe that one is actually from
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, Alice in Wonderland. Sorry, guys.
Carol. Yeah. But yes, though. Oh, did they say Brett? I'm sorry. That was my fault. But yes, again, James T. Kirk, James Tiberius Kirk, not James R. Kirk, which was on the Where No Man Has Gone Before Tombstone. He is James T. Kirk. Tiberius, a lot of Roddenberry is in this character, much like my favorite comic book character, The Thing. Jack Kirby put so much of himself into that character. Anyone who knows him knows that. Roddenberry put a lot of himself in Kirk. His love for the character of Horatio Hornblower, as we all know. It was also a big influence in the character of Kirk, the romantic sailor, the explorer, the ladies' man, the kind of a married to his ship. One of my favorite scenes is when he's affected by the blood disease in The Naked Time, when he's talking about how much he loves this ship, and when he actually talks to the Enterprise, never lose you. He says to his ship, this man loves that ship. Even Harry Mudd said, in Mudd's Women, he said, you'll find starship captains are married to their ship. You'll find that the first time you get between the two of them. And this is nobody loves this ship more than James T. Kirk.
No, not at all. Please excuse me for 1 second. I just want to say thank you to Steve Mitchum for coming and supporting the channel tonight. I really appreciated all of your comments and your interactions. What a great contributor to this discussion you were, Steve Mitchum. Thank you so much. And have a great night.
All right, buddy. Thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it. A great old friend of mine. He's a great chap. I will holler at you later, my friend. Thank you so much, buddy. Just assume that McCoy is there on the ship somewhere during the episode. Yeah, it could have been on shore leave somewhere. I don't know. But yes, exactly. Smart, Steve. but yeah, James T. Kirk, my favorite, one of my all-time favorite characters in all of fiction and all of television as an individual. But like I said, I love the triumvirate. You don't have to say much about this guy. Everyone knows that he's just. What do you do when you cast a character that's not supposed to show emotions? This can't be easy for an actor. You think it would be easy, but actors are trained to be emotional and run the spectrum of the gamut of emotions. And he sort of did that early on when they weren't really sure how to define this character. He smiled every now and then, but they defined him. They fine-tuned him over the first season. There's no one that could have played this character better than Leonard Nimoy. Just no one.
About my hero, he has actually been my hero for nearly 50 years.
No one could do it.
This man, and
Yes.
I had the pleasure of meeting him twice. And the one time was when he was on his photography tour, and he was incredible to me. But this to me is an icon. This is such an incredible man, and people always say, be careful of meeting your heroes. They'll let you down. He did not let me down. He was so gracious and wonderful. He actually made me feel giddy. He made me feel special. He was unbelievable. He put his arm around my waist and just for our picture together, and we talked, and just he was so nice to me. And he's I can't use the word legend. I mean, people in common parlance, they say, oh, he's a legend, and people think that means he's special. Well, legend actually has an accumulative connotation that it's not real. And believe me, Leonard Nimoy was incredibly real. Everything you saw on screen and off screen, in his beautiful interviews where he talked about having the highest morals and the highest ethics as human beings, and about not being violent, and about trying to use our minds to solve our problems, and to love other people and be gentle. He is all of that. He is all of that. And I'm so sad that we lost this man to COPD. I want to say on behalf of him right now that he does not want you to smoke cigarettes. If you smoke, you should really try to quit. And if you're somebody who would like to support Leonard Nimoy, you can find Danny Nimoy, his granddaughter, on Twitter. She has a beautiful store. Her and her grandfather, Leonard Nimoy, developed a bunch of wonderful things together, Spock memorabilia, stuff they designed together, T-shirts and stuff like that. Danny is such a sweetheart. And that money goes to COPD. So the thing that killed my hero. So you're not going to get any argument out of me on this one, Clobberin. This guy he is my hero. He's been my hero for nearly 5 decades.
He's the only member of the original cast I'd ever met. The only one. Mm-mm. The only one.
Please, can we please put, oh my goodness, the Nimoy family you're going to make me cry. Can we please put up Mark C's comment, 1044? Bravo, my friend.
Mark C is an old friend. I've known him for a very long time. Of course, he's a frequent guest host here on Clobberin. Great artist, by the way, and a good buddy. And Mark, I'm glad. I did not know that, man. It's been very nice.
Know that Leonard Nimoy said that these are the things he wanted to be remembered for. So, Mark, do you have any idea what you just did, what you just said, and how you quit smoking? Do you have any idea how important that was to Leonard? That is what he wanted to be remembered for the good things he did and for the wonderful things he brought. And he said, please remember me this way. And look at you, Mark.
Way to go, buddy.
Dude, I'm sending you a virtual Trekkie hug. Wicked job, dude. So proud of you.
Way to go, buddy. That's nice, man. Well done. Got to meet Nimoy at the premiere of The Wrath of Khan in Stamford, Connecticut. Fundraiser for my school, Gary Nardito. I remember that. I know that name from Paramount. Was the uncle of a classmate. Wow, starstruck. It couldn't say anything, but got his autograph. Nice, man. Excellent. Let's see, Katie. Well, in fact, Larry Nimoy's son, Adam, is married to Terry Fair. That is true. Yes. Thank you, Katie. I wouldn't have remembered that. Thank you. That's excellent.
Yeah. I
Right.
see them every day. I follow them both on Twitter.
What a great actor! What a wonderful character. Again, people sometimes ask me, why do you hate the Jar Jar Abrams movies so much? Let me show you why. This, 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 this. Nobody is these characters. Nobody ever will be these characters. Chris Pine, you ain't no Kirk. Yes, you were badly written, and that's not fair. And people think you're a good actor. All fine and good. You're no Kirk. Zachary Quinto, you are no Spock. And Carl Urban's a fine actor. You ain't no D. Kelly. We'll move on. I just want to say I love these characters so much. Recasting them, Jar Jar Abrams, screw you. Paramount, CBS, screw you. Nobody is these characters. Nobody. I never want anyone ever playing them again. It's just, and no one will ever be these characters, but these people. For me.
Preach, Captain. What a great thing to say. Chat, blow that chat up. Supporting Clobberin. No, there are no other versions. These people created these characters with Gene Roddenberry. There is only one D. There is only one Nimoy. There is only one James T. Kirk, played by Bill and Bill only.
Absolutely. And again, we love this man. DeForest Kelley, veteran of many Western shows. It's always fun whenever I've a buddy of mine would play sort of a game where when we're flipping through channels, sometimes if we land on old Westerns or old TV shows, we play Spot the Star Trek Actor. And it could be like just someone who's been in a few episodes or whatever. And of course, every now and then, if you watch enough of those, because I love old TV Westerns, Have Gun Will Travel, in my opinion, is the greatest Western ever made. It. Gene Roddenberry wrote a bunch of those. And they were great scripts, by the way. God, I love that show. And I believe Kelly was on one of those. I know, or maybe Doohan was. And I know Kelly was. But anyway, he's popped up. Every now and then he would pop up in one of these Westerns as a bad guy. Like, wow, I just can't. It's so weird. He's evil. What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, I like Eric's comment. It's so true. Always strange when you see him in Westerns because he's an evil guy. You're like, why are you a villain? You're not a villain, dude.
You probably heard me screaming about how I feel about Chris Pine as Kirk. He ain't Kirk. Look, I hate those movies so much that I had an animus toward those actors, but of course I try to grow up and go, look, they're doing a gig. They don't care. They don't love these characters. Chris Pine said he didn't even watch the show. He's an okay actor and probably a good dude, nothing personal. He ain't Kirk. And again, he was written as just a dumb frat boy. They dumbed everything down for those movies. They're garbage and filth to me. They're Steino. They're Star Trek in name only. Screw you, Abrams. Screw you, CBS. I'm sorry, I get worked up. I started this whole show in 2009.
It's great, Clobberin, because it's very important for people to realize that there are two stages of Star Trek. There is the stage in which there was a wide-eyed, amazing writer who wanted to be something. And if you ever doubt that, go and watch the way that Majel talks about her husband wanting to be a good writer and always craving being a good writer and wanting to do that with his career. These were his feelings. This was a story. This was an actual author reaching into your hearts and minds to tell you a story and write a story on your heart. And then there is the second stage, the corporate Star Trek. It is Drek, and no one should like it. Really, no one should like it. It's crap. And defending a corporation who's trying to make you chew cud like a cow or like a camel, and you just keep regurgitating your grass from your stomach back into your mouth to chew it. It's very ugly. And so you should support what Clobberin's saying, because he doesn't chew cud. He already had this meal. It was beautiful, and he watches reruns, but he doesn't want a corporation to give him a lesser version because it's like you're eating cud. It's gross.
I started this show because of that piece of filth movie. In 2009 when I started, it was I did it just to rail about that horrible movie. And yeah, I know Steve wants to smart Steve wants to wind me up there.
That's one of my favorite songs.
I appreciate you, smart Steve, though. And again, I have that. By the way, Mark, One of his prized possessions, Mind Meld DVD. I think I have that somewhere. Cool. But where are we at? Wonder if we could rent a theater to do a Star Trek marathon, but well, they have a theater that's actually doing that now. And yes, some animated, absolutely.
Yeah.
But Dr. Leonard McCoy, good God. Again, that wonderful piece of the triumvirate, the Trinity, played so beautifully by DeForest Kelley. And again, I'm not going to do another rant, I promise, but I'll just touch on it one to say that Carl Urban is a great actor. I really like him in some stuff, but people constantly say, even I don't like that movie, but Carl Urban was just so great as no, he's not.
Do you like him in The Boys?
I won't watch it. I never was big on that comic, and
it's complete and utter crap. It is the most gratuitous violence. Yes. It's just like senseless, ridiculous gore. And I came into it not knowing anything because, of course, you guys, I'm just science. I'm not a geek.
No, I
never have been a geek. I'm a nerd. So I'm an academic. I don't read comics. I look at when I'm watching Star Trek, I'm thinking about the literary quality of it. I'm thinking about allusion. I know that he's talking about this philosopher here, or he's talking about Homer here, and that's what I'm thinking. So when I went into The Boys, I had no preconceived notions because I'm a comic book idiot. And I thought it sucked. It sucks.
I never liked the comic. Most people do anyway. I never got into it. But I hear it's good. I just don't really care. I tried. So, yeah. And look, Gary and Doomcock's reviews are more fun.
Yeah.
And they said it was terrible.
But that's Carl Urban, right? And everybody's like, oh, yeah. Carl Urban. Oh. And I was like, yeah, this is just, is this what people watch now?
He's a good actor, but and again, I understand people really go off about him as McCoy. Look, he did his job, did it well. Not saying that, but look, this is McCoy right here. They said he got the mannerisms. I didn't see that like everyone does, and I like the guy.
I'm going to say something really intellectual right now that might freak people out, but I'm just going to come out and say it. It's like I want you to think about how derivative it is and how base it is. That you're not playing a character. You're playing the person who played the character. That's pretty scary. If you go in and you're a character and you play and you're in a Shakespearean play and you do Macbeth, you're bringing your all to that character, and that character is written that way. But the thing is that these new people involved with Star Trek, they're not playing the characters. They're playing the people who were playing the character.
Yeah. Exactly.
Don't pretend you're Leonard Nimoy. Play Spock. I reject you because you suck because you're playing the actor, not even the character. So
yeah.
I don't barf, insert barf icon, multiple barf icons.
Indeed.
Even Zachary Quinto. He was playing the Leonard Nimoy and not playing Spock. It's completely intolerable trash.
Total garbage. Hate it. And you guys can trigger me easily. Every time I hear someone, even who agrees with us that doesn't like that stuff, say, oh, it's not Trek, but I kind of liked and enjoyed that for what it was. That first movie, I go insane. And I think everyone knows it. That's why they do it. But Mark Seed says DeForest Kelley's performance talking to an incapacitated Spock on the way to Vulcan in Star Trek 3 was great. See, I love Star Trek 3. Today, in fact, there was two of my favorite YouTubers, Critical Drinker and Bolts Trek, did a whole live stream about that film, and I got to listen to a good bit of it. And I'm listening to it. They're great. I love those guys. But I went to see that movie 15 times in the theater in 1984. I could quote it backwards and forwards, even with my crappy old man's memory. And yes, Mark, when he says, Spock, talk to me. You put this damn thing in my head. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
And it basically tells him, I don't think I can stand to lose you again.
Yeah.
God, it is a beautiful scene. He is a wonderful actor. I'm one of those defenders of Trek 5 in a lot of ways. And his scene with his father is one of the great. The scene with where Cybuck is taking him to his father's death was beautiful. What a performance by D. Kelly. What a treasure he was. I love that man. Yeah. And I love this man too.
Missing part of his finger, and
yes, he is.
and he was what you see him on screen as is actually his real life. You are looking at a military hero.
Yes, absolutely. What a man! What a great dude.
Canadian. He's a Canadian.
Well, we won't hold that against him. That's kidding, because so is the captain, as you know.
Yes.
So yeah. Well, hey, most of my favorite people are Canadians, including you.
Well, we love you. Canada loves you, Clobberin.
Oh, well, also look, two of the greatest spaceship captains, or space captains, I should say, the Shatner and Bruce Boxleitner from Babylon 5, both Canadians. So there you go. This man is terrific, great, brilliant actor. He said when he went in, they asked him to do a lot of different voices, and so he did, and they settled on the one he has for Scotty. Again, interestingly enough, Critical Drinker and Bolstrek were talking about it, because Critical Drinker is Scottish, and so Bolstrek, by the way, great. It was also he's a Canadian, and I love his videos. He asked him about the accent, how did Duhan do with it, and Drinker said, oh, he was really great with it. There were times you could tell he would slip every now and then, because obviously that's his country of origin. And I thought that was I never knew that. It was fascinating. But he said yes, he was brilliant as Scotty. But there were times, obviously, when you're an actor doing an accent that is not your own, that's going to happen. I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he had an accent. Just the thing is that he had a Northern Ireland accent, not a Scottish accent. So if he picked up anything from his parents, and I'm quite sure he did, it would not be Scott. But I also find this actor highly underrated. I absolutely love the way that he is with the ladies. I find behaving as though you are inebriated quite troublesome for many actors. It doesn't look good, and he did it just fabulous. I always believed it. He's just somebody who you want to have a pint of the black with. And for those of you who don't know, in Ireland, that would be, a little bit of Guinness. But I just love this man. He is just a sweetheart of a human being and a great actor. I love his smirking. I love his mannerisms. I love his inebriation on screen. I love everything about him. He's amazing.
Scotty's a great character. Is it come on now, stop your echoing. Is it bad that I know this episode is this picks from Devil in the Dark? Why can't I look at that and know that? Is it bad that I know that? I don't know, but that's definitely.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, the thing is that I always say this, but it's true. It's you get a different impression when you watch 670 hours of Star Trek every year. But one thing that just sticks with you, it sticks with me, is TOS. And we all have things that sing to our hearts, things that imprint very deeply on us. And for me, it will always be TOS. It's my first encounter with Star Trek, and it's my favorite. I never get sick of watching it. I could literally watch it 24 hours a day.
Yes,
just over and over and over again. I never get sick of it.
I do love it, and I'm so with you on that so much. And when we were talking earlier about some characters that didn't always get quite enough time and development, that is, outside of Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and even Scotty, who had the other characters never got much of a spotlight or focus in the naked time. Sulu got some, and in Mira got a couple of things to shine. So, but still, it was just always in the episodes where George Takei was playing Sulu when he was there, because there were times when he wasn't. He was making the Green Beret with John Wayne for a while. He was doing some other things. The Green Berets, and he was doing some other things. Said he met John Wayne. He said John Wayne was a Star Trek fan. That was cool. I love John Wayne. And so yes, he wasn't there in every episode at the helm, certainly, but it was great to have a regular there when they did. Yes. And you got to love the character of Sulu. They did a few things with him, but again, if the show were made today, they would have single standalone episodes. If it had lasted longer, they probably would have given him some spotlight. Same with her.
I love that at that time, that Sulu, you could actually tell that Gene Roddenberry had grown up in a multicultural environment, exactly like he said. You could tell that Gene Roddenberry was the kid who had like basically no white friends. You could tell this. Not that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not making a judgment on it. So
No, sure.
you know, everybody at home, don't think I'm making a judgment on it. But you could just tell that he's a multicultural guy. And one of the ways that you can tell that he's a multicultural guy is when Sulu came on board, 1967. We're seeing an Asian man, a Japanese man, who isn't the Asian trope. Okay, so when Captain Kirk is looking for statistics, he doesn't look to Sulu as though Sulu is the Asian trope where he's the born calculator. And all of these things that they always make these Asian characters into. They allowed Sulu to just be a human being. And I love that about him. I also love that he was like fencing. He didn't come out with kung fu. He didn't come out, as a samurai. He came out with a foil. Wasn't it cool when he just passes out with a foil? And he's talking like a swashbuckler, as though he's like some type of pirate or something. And I think it's just wonderful because in Sulu we see real multiculturalism. We see a real care in the character that he gets to be something other than he is. And here we can see why George Takei would probably say the things that he said. We can speculate about why he feels the way that he does, because you shouldn't have to be the character you are on screen in your private life. Otherwise, you're not acting. And so here we know Sulu is not a samurai. He's not a walking calculator. He's not these things. He is just a wonderful Japanese guy from a Japanese heritage. And he doesn't necessarily have to be a gay man on screen like he is in real life. And in that way, I do have to say, folks, that I feel that it takes away from George Takei to force him to do that. It makes it seem like he's less of an actor, and I don't think it's fair.
No, absolutely, and I actually, obviously. They messed around with him a little bit because he was actually in '66. He was in Where No Man Has Gone Before, and he was
yes, I thought it
wasn't on the helm.
I thought it was '66, but I'm almost done my first year.
No, I got you. And yeah, he was a stats guy. Remember, he was giving statistical probability calculations to Kirk, and so he was buddy. So then later, he wasn't helmsman at first.
Yes.
But and then they added an interesting aspect to his character in Naked Time when Spock just tells us he's at heart a swashbuckler.
Yes.
Rishadu beware. He's also a wonderful performance in my favorite episode, Mira Mira, as the evil Sulu.
Yes.
And again, did he get to do a lot all the time? Would it have been great to see more episodes? Yes, certainly. But it was great, always great when he was there. I always loved the episodes. I love a lot of episodes, whether he's there or not. But it was always nice when you had a little bit of consistency at the helm of character.
Yeah.
Did a little bit more to them, and that was great when Sulu was there. And yes, he did come out back when that filthy trash Star Trek Beneath was made, and they turned the Sulu character in that into a gay character, and he being a gay man himself, certainly no evil right-wing conservative either. He came out and said, "You don't have to make him gay." He said, "Gene," he said, "my character, my character wasn't gay just because I am," and I admire that stance on his part. Although it's not real Trek anyway, so it doesn't really matter as much. But I admire him that he said, "Look, I'm not going to be PC here. This is not necessary to do that. You're just doing it, the ultimate in virtue signaling, if you will," and they were. And he called him out on that and got some static for it. But
well, like I said, for me, I think that we need to understand that being gay, being lesbian, gay, bi, or trans is not a trope. And I think sometimes Hollywood does treat it like a trope. And the thing is like I said, Sulu, George did a great job on Sulu.
Yeah.
As somebody who tries to look at the deeper meaning of things here, and I deconstruct these things and take these things apart, I absolutely love that I just didn't have some empty trope who was just a human calculator. That's not what I want. Not every Asian person in the world is good at math. Not every Japanese person is a samurai. People just need to just relax.
Right.
And they also need to allow George to allow his performance to stand on its own merit. And in that way, George is an actor. And as far as I'm concerned, George can do any role he wants to do. He doesn't have to do that in real life. He doesn't have to be that in real life because George is a good actor. So he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. And Sulu got a little bit got to do a few more things. Where, in Trek 3, he had some nice scenes where he gets to have a little action, and he got to do a few things in Trek 4. Then he gets his own ship later, as we know, the Excelsior. So yeah, I mean, again, there could have been a lot more, but he's a beloved part of the crew, and he's great, and so is this wonderful lady for so many reasons.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely just an absolute icon and a hero from my childhood.
Just wonderful. Did she get any standalone or spotlight episodes? No, but did they add enough to her character to where what we would have ideally would have liked? No, but she still was very important to the show for many reasons that you mentioned.
Yes.
And
in TAS she does captain the ship.
Oh yeah, that's right. That she in the animated series. That is correct. Yeah, beautiful, wonderful. We all know the Martin Luther King story, which is very inspiring. So such an important character at a time when diversity wasn't lip service or poser or posturing. It was important, and Roddenberry had to fight for those things.
Yes.
She's iconic in that respect as well.
Well, I think Roddenberry and Nichelle were knocking boots at this time. And I love, I talk about this whenever anybody asks me to guest on a stream. Once again, I have a lot of friends that are lesbian, gay, bi, and trans, and I love them. They're people. They're not tropes. They are living, breathing human beings. They're mothers, they're fathers, they're sisters, they're brothers. They are people. And here again, we see Nichelle Nichols is a woman. And most importantly, at this time, she's not playing a maid.
No.
And here, once again, we're allowing her to be, to act and to be her very best. And she is. What's really cool is that, in very early internet, there used to be tons of arguments on the Star Trek forums about whether or not she was an engineer, whether or not you could give her that engineer status. Well, of course, as an academic who does communications and technology, I'm quick to remind people that she's not like Hoshi Sato. She's not a linguist. She doesn't study languages. She's not a polyglot. That was never what she was supposed to do. She was a communications and technology person. And we see this in the fact that she could completely rewire the entire communications board. She's an astronaut, and she was hired for that job. And I think that that's beautiful. Once again, we're seeing not a trope. This isn't a maid. This is a sexy woman with a bare belly and thigh-high boots, just a sex goddess on screen in the mirror. And we're getting the full Roddenberry treatment here.
Yes, and by the way, she like you just said, she could work on the console. And there was an episode where she and Spock actually work under the thing. She puts together the communication system. She's very technically adept as well. She shined in my favorite episode, Mira Mira. In that episode, she got to do have a couple of nice scenes in that.
She actually comes out and says, "Captain, I don't know why that board is doing that. I just rewired it."
Yes, yeah, absolutely. She's very technically adept at everything. Now. I've always wondered, of course, in the Changeling, when her mind is emptied by Nomad, and later they show the kind of cute scene where they're going to quote unquote re-educate her.
Yeah.
We don't know. I mean, did they? obviously they could do that, but we never, because the show wasn't back then. TV didn't do continuity that much in terms of arcs. So we just, by the next time we see her, she's back on the bridge, which is fine. Does she have all the memories that preceded that incident? Or are they all gone and she had to make new ones? Something that was never explored, that I just always thought about, because
for me, I like to think that it was more temporary than permanent. But yeah, it's a big old hole. It's a giant hole. It's a black hole. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Eric, Leonard Nimoy was supposed to be the one to kiss her, and
that's right.
And they were quite worried. The network was quite worried about this. Magel talks about this when she's talking about phase 2. You can go and see her talk about this, where she talks about if the scripts were alien enough, they actually would not peruse the scripts. They would go over them very lightly so the network wouldn't cancel things. So Plato's Stepchildren is the episode you're talking about. And it was supposed to be Leonard Nimoy, and that was the reason for the Force of Kiss. And then, of course, we have this mind control by these aliens, and Shatner basically wanted the moment for himself. So that's how that happened.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.
You're going to kiss the boss's girlfriend?
Yeah, he doesn't mind. He's Shatner. Davy Jones here from the Monkees.
Yep.
I'm sorry. It's Pavel Chekhov again. Didn't get a lot to do. Had a little love interest episode once with the Way to Eden, but still, he got to be he got to do a few things. Mira Mira. That episode was a good character episode. But in general, again, nice to have consistency at the navigator spot when he was there on the rare occasions when it was Sulu and Chekhov, because people just think of them as the bridge crew, but there were times when they were not there. But Chekhov's an interesting character, and certainly part of the family.
Yeah. And he was not forced onto the screen by the Russian government or Russian outcry. Folks, that's not true. What Clobberin said is actually the truth. And that is that they were looking for a Monkees style character that the girls could glom all their fifis on. So Walter was supposed to be that for the girls, and and so he got into that role. But yes, his appearance was intermittent. Of course, he wasn't signed on from the very beginning, and even through Space Seed. We see no appearance of Walter, certainly not in contact with Khan, and yet in the Wrath of Khan, we hear Khan say, I never forget a face.
Even though I didn't
but of course, this is a little backtracking, trying to make it look as though Chekhov was always a part of the crew. But yes, with the Monkees.
Yes, Zathras, that's a good point, and it should be pointed out, even though it's a different show. Let's give Walter Koenig was brilliant, and I mean brilliant on Babylon 5 as the character Bester. You're right, dude. A great baddie, really underrated. You think of him as Chekhov, and when I first saw him on there, I'm like, really? Chekhov's going to be the bad guy here? What in the hell? He really is amazing. Of course, it was really written for by Straczynski. Named, by the way, after the well-known old school science fiction writer Alfred Bester. The character of Bester, the leader of the Psi division, or the Psi Corps on B5. Great character. So, and he was there a good bit too. He was a pretty recurring regular on there. So, yeah, that was gotta hand it to Koenig on that. That was one of his. That's probably his best work, to be honest. Take out. Oh yeah, yes, that was a little bit more on the Plato's Stepchildren thing.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, let's see. Well, we should at least talk about this nice lady. She was sort of part of the crew.
The Queen. This is the Queen of Star Trek.
Majel.
I love her. She's awesome.
Do you know that I talked to her on the phone once?
What?
In the early 80s, I was running a comic book shop, one of the very first ones in down here, and she and Gene owned. I say Gene like I knew him or something. And she and Gene Roddenberry. I met her also, but this was before that. They ran a thing called Lincoln Enterprises. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they sold Star Trek merchandise through that. Both of them, they owned that company. And we ordered we used to place orders for like the comic shop we would have for posters and, various Star Trek knickknacks, things like that. And I get this call, because this is a long time ago, this is the early 80s, the operator saying, okay, we've connected to someone, ma'am. Will you accept this? Will you talk to this person? Something like that. And I hear this voice come over the phone. Yes, thank you, operator. I'll talk to this person. Wow. And it was Majel Barrett Roddenberry. Wow. And she said hi. She introduced herself because she was talking about an order. And I'm like, oh my God. Wow. Yeah, starstruck. But again, so we go through the order, whatever, and I just told her, I said, well, I'm very honored. I'm a big fan. Like I said, Gus, like an idiot, and she was very nice to me. Oh, thank you very much. And she was just pretty, matter of fact about the work and everything, but she was very kind, very nice on the phone. And I met her years later and told her about it, been in the 80s, and she was a sweetheart about it. So she was always nice to me anyway. And but that's neither here nor there. She is, of course, she's wonderful as Loxana, but I love Nurse Chapel. She didn't get a lot to do, but she had one.
I liked her better as the first officer.
Oh, well, yeah, no, true. I love her as number one. No question about it.
Yes. She is just absolutely fabulous. I just absolutely love this woman. I also love all of her interviews, and all of her 1970s and 80s and 90s interviews are on YouTube. Just go and watch her talk. Like, she's just wonderful. Plus, she's the original Siri. So, she's like,
that's true.
She's the voice of my life. So, yeah, I definitely encourage you. Please go in and watch her interviews. They're so great.
Yeah, and she's great. And again, yeah, like you say, she got a couple things to do. She got a little bit to do in Naked Time as an actress, that is, of course. And what are little girls made of? We got a little insight into her life and everything there. So yeah, but as number one, what a missed opportunity.
Yes. Oh, Mark, you agree with me? Love you, Mark. Oh, yeah. Thanks, bud.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, again, Nurse Chapel's sweet and nice and everything. That's good, fantastic. But screw the network. Even though I'm glad the show turned out the way it did, don't get me wrong. But if they had gone on with Pike, she should have been the first officer. That should have been, and it still would have been cool and great. But at least she got to do something on there. You ever heard Roddenberry talk about that on the old Inside Star Trek album?
No.
Interviews where he was talking about
maybe I have heard it, but you have to understand that a lot of this stuff was not available in Canada at all.
Oh, I got you.
A lot of this stuff I have to seek out myself and try and find it in different places. And a lot of the times that means YouTube and things like that. I remember my stepfather ordering a Larry Carlton album in like 1988, and it took like 3 months to get here. It was ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, Canada just at that time, just.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Terrible.
He was just relaying a bit of an anecdote about how the network, because he used to talk about that a lot. The network, and he said he was just summing up some of the things they were complaining about at the pilot, and they said, first of all, one of the sexist things they said was you got to get rid of the woman in command of the Super Second Command, because we don't believe her in command of anything.
Yeah, I've heard.
And then he said. And they said, while you're at it, get rid of the guy with the ears.
Yeah. Oh, I know all about that.
Oh yeah. And he said, and he was just joking around talking. He said, so I kept the guy with the ears, and I married the woman. I realized I couldn't do it the other way around.
Oh, beautiful.
As he said, yeah. So yeah. And by the way, yes, Mark, Star Trek Crew, the IDW comic that John Byrne did. All about the first Constitution class ship under Robert April, and they got the character of number one.
Okay, can we just leave that up for 1 second, please?
Yes, the character of number one is spotlighted in that
comic book.
Yes, it was IDW, and it was. I think they've done a trade. It's called Star Trek. They've done a trade paperback of it. It was a series. Again, like I said, it's the launching of the first Constitution class ship before they even named it Enterprise, actually, and it's Robert April. And they have it spotlights on number one a bit. It's a really good comic, and I love the way Byrne drew it to look just like even before the Cage. He drew it to look like it would have if they'd made the show with Robert April. If you know what I'm saying.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I'm actually familiar with the interview you're talking about, or the content you're referring to, and yeah, it's very interesting. Hey, it's very interesting because imagine you're having sex with Nichelle Nichols.
I can imagine that. Sorry.
And then you're having sex with Majel Barrett.
I can imagine that too.
Okay. Easy. How do you choose between these women? Like this man,
I gotta choose? Oh, Gene, I'm sorry.
Can you believe this guy got this type of action?
Somehow I can.
Like, both of these women are ridiculously hot. And I want you to think about these lenses, guys. Like back then when women were homely, they put Vaseline on the end of the camera lens to soften their look and stuff, but not Nichelle and not Majel. These two women are the real deal. These women are still like, oh, Nichelle's still hot.
He was a Mac Daddy. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
And,
oh, Katie, what a nice thing to say. I haven't thought about it. Maybe I should.
Go for it. Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, good idea, Katie. Thank you much. It would have been interesting. I don't know if it had been a Robert April thing. He wrote the great show, as I mentioned earlier, wrote a bunch of great scripts on Have Gun Will Travel, and he named a character Robert April on that when he scrapped it for some reason. I don't know why he changed it to Pike, but it's neither here nor there. But yes, they are very beautiful, and I'm so with you there.
This chat has gone rogue. Yeah, well, it's hot women. Like, you're just thinking about Roddenberry's life. But yes, we have gone rogue because we're talking about crews. But I mean, imagine if in real life your crew is either taking Nichelle out for supper or taking Majel out for supper. Like, you're a pretty damn lucky guy. That's like having two supermodels at once. If you're Gene Roddenberry, you're one lucky guy.
Oh yeah, no question. It was good. It was good to be the captain, and it was good to be the great bird of the galaxy. No question. Yeah, I love this pick. I love this.
Can you do me a huge favor? Would you please put up a picture of Grace?
Oh, I should have got one. I'm sorry. And I met her once too. She's very nice. I'm sorry I forgot Grace. Everyone, I'm sorry. You know who else we forgot?
Who?
Well, we meant to touch on it and then we forgot. I forgot.
Ezri Dax.
Yes. So we'll give her.
I would like to put up Grace, please.
I will. I'll get her. While I'm finding it, we'll have Ezri. Ezri, we love
Ezri. Let's talk Ezri.
Go ahead, and I gotta find. I totally forgot the wonderful Grace Lee Whitney because she was a regular. So.
Yeah, and not only that,
It took me a minute.
Yeah, it's just her story. I don't want to get into her story because she actually told us not to tell that part of her life because that's not what she wanted to be known for. So I just want to raise this woman to the highest echelons of Trek icons. I love this woman. I want to honor her memory. She is very important. But let's talk some smack about Ezri Dax. So how many people in the chat liked this counselor? How many people decided that they were ready to transition from Jadzia to Ezri? How many people in the chat, how many of you were able to do that without wanting to gouge your own eyes out?
Loaded question there.
Yeah, so for my answer, I did not like Ezri Dax.
Really?
I could not attach myself to the character. I found her far too unsure of herself. I just didn't buy that role, and I didn't buy that role for the symbiote. I just felt that having all of those lives inside of her, that it was not I just didn't buy it. It didn't work for me. But I am going to say this. I love this woman. Like, this woman is absolutely beautiful. She's sweet. She's kind. Just a really, really sweet person. And I feel so bad that she had to step into the shoes of the Worf and Jadzia legacy. Like, really, like, why did they do that to her? It was so mean. And it just, everything that happened with Terry Farrell and stuff, it's just, it just didn't work for me. And I feel so bad for what happened with Terry, and I feel so bad for what happened with her. Oh, Eric, thank you so much for coming to the chat. Eric,
thanks, Eric.
Thank you for all of your wonderful comments and for all of your interactions and all of your input tonight. You were just wonderful. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being here and for supporting the channel. Please don't forget to if you're not subbed, to please subscribe, and don't forget to lick the like button if you really like it, and hit your notification bell, because we'd love to see you here again, Eric. Thank you so much. Yeah, so getting back to Esri, I feel like this actress got a bum deal, because everyone was so passionate about Jadzia and Worf, and everybody was just so in it to win it for them. And then this beautiful woman comes into this role, and it just seems like they set her up for failure. What does the chat think, and what do you think, Clobberin?
Well, I don't disagree with any of that. But they were kind of a rock and a hard place type of thing, because the lady Terry Farrell was leaving to go be on that show Becker, I believe
with,
it was.
Ted Danson.
Yes, which I guess she wanted, because she felt they were cutting her time or something a lot in that last season. I'm not sure exactly what all the reasoning was behind it.
Lots of drama. Lots of drama.
Yes, drama. But I can't disagree with anything you said, except I really do like the actress, as you mentioned, and I think they did the best they could with her, and she did the best they could with it. It's just, you're feeling, it's not her, it's kind of her. You're taking over for someone that is just so good in that role that she could. There's no way she was going to be able to combat that. I don't think. It was nothing she was going to be able to do.
Jadzia was on her way to becoming a Star Trek icon, like of TOS proportions. She was about to become one of the great ladies who defined these powerful women who are scientists and astronauts, and yeah, she was on her way to that. And just to have her torn out of the show, and then have this beautiful young woman put into place, it's just, I just feel rotten about the whole situation. I don't even want to say a single bad thing about this gorgeous young woman who was just put in impossible circumstances, I think.
No, yeah, but I think she handled it well, and I think they did some pretty good things with her. But no, I mean, look, I love Jadzia so much. And I understand sometimes in fiction they got to kill characters and all this kind of stuff. It's just a damn shame, and she got put in a bad position. So I don't think she did a bad job, and I don't mind her that much. I don't know what you were going to do with Dax, with the symbiote. They were going to do something.
Yeah.
I'm glad they kept it in a young woman, though. That was still good for me, I think, rather than doing something else with it, probably. But no, it's a tough situation. But I really do like the actress a lot. And they had one really interesting episode with which was incredibly weird. The one with the Vulcan serial killer.
Yes.
I'm a sucker for dark hair and light eyes. Esri Dax was my jam. Well, no shame in that, man. She is it's a lovely, lovely young woman.
I'm a sucker for dark hair and light eyes. Esri Dax was my jam. Sorry, I missed that. I had to reread that. What a great comment, Mark. I think that's great, because that's a testament to how hard this poor young woman had to work to fit in to all of our hearts and minds, as well as fit in with the cast, as well as trying to redefine this character that was already hewn in our minds. So what a great comment, Mark.
But at least it was at the end, when there was only going to be one more season anyway, and at least we got 6 years with Jadzia. Those, oh man, and and I don't know, it's such a damn shame some of that stuff happens, and you lose a character like that.
Yeah.
But here you go, a beautiful.
All right, now can we all take a few minutes to just talk about this beautiful woman, and instead of talking about anything that she may have struggled with in her personal life and the things that went on, because that's not how she wants us to remember her.
Fair enough.
And I want to say that to everyone in the chat, because when you talk about her, I want you to know that our trivia, it can be hurtful, especially when somebody conquers. So I want to honor her wishes, and I want her to be known for her work. And her work was fantastic. I thought she was absolutely astonishing. When I was a little girl, I thought she was beautiful. I'm not a geek. I'm a nerd. So I was more a Nichelle Nichols girl. But wow, Charlie X, what a great job. And just what a beautiful, beautiful woman. And I would have loved to have seen so much more of this fantastic woman and this whole idea of yeoman. Thank you for teaching me about military. Thank you for being a goddess on screen and being an icon for young girls everywhere who not only weren't allowed to be in the military at that time, but to be an astronaut on a ship. Grace Lee Whitney, God bless you, sweetheart. And I'm saying that as an agnostic, so you know that I feel really, really powerfully about you. Oh, yes. Of course, yes. She was in the films. Yes.
I loved it in Star Trek 3, which I love the film so much. And I love the scene where the Enterprise, battle scarred and all, is flying into the space station. And they show her seeing the ship. That's a wonderful scene, a nice, sentimental scene. And like you said, we should remember her fondly. It's a shame she got cut short because she should have been on there the whole time. We all know bad things happened. I'll tell you a funny thing about it. It was kind of funny that I'll always remember. Because like you said, she probably wants us to remember happy things. Back in the late 70s, there was a silly old game show called Make Me Laugh. I don't know if you remember it.
No. I'm Canadian, though. Like what we get up here is way different than what you get down there.
Well, this show was, they would get a celebrity of some sort, and they would have them sit on the stage, and comedians would come up and try to make them laugh, and they got to keep from laughing. Silly doofus show, right? Well, this was right before the motion picture came out.
Oh yeah.
And she's on there, and everyone knows her. And you got to, if they win stuff, I guess, if they make you laugh really quick, and you're supposed to, no matter how much you want to laugh, you're supposed to keep yourself from laughing. They got her in 2 seconds. Because these two guys walk up to, hello, Grace. Because right before that, they were talking about the motion picture and stuff, and they were all excited about it. And the guy was really excited. Said, hello, Grace. They look at her, and she's sitting there, and she goes, we really loved you on Star Trek. And every time we see it, we want to beam off. Every time we see you, we want to beam off. And she lost it. She started laughing her ass off.
Yeah, she's fabulous. When you think of this woman, please, everyone in the chat, I want you to think about how powerful it was to have a beautiful, gorgeously very dainty and almost exquisite woman, very dainty, beautiful woman in the military, an astronaut in the military in 1966. Wrap your head around that and tell me that this woman did not speak to young girls. I'm more of a STEM person, so Nichelle Nichols was it for me. But any little girl who wanted to grow up and be an astronaut and join the military, Grace was the way to get that done. And wow, her performance in the films is great as well. I just love this lady and look fondly upon her, remember her fondly, and celebrate this beautiful feminist icon, this female icon.
Absolutely. Very, very wonderfully said. Katie, we're going to review all kinds of stuff. We got plenty there's certainly a lot to talk about with Star Trek, isn't there? And thank you for that, Katie. I really appreciate it. And I'm so glad you were here. But yes, the films, absolutely.
Yes.
We will definitely talk about those.
Anything you want to talk about, Katie, we'll definitely do that. Your input is very important to us. And anytime you want to put your ideas forward, please make sure that you do. Clobberin he's been doing this for a long time. He's new to YouTube, but this is a comic god that we have here.
Oh, no.
On YouTube. This is an extremely knowledgeable person, and he's been doing a podcast for I think over a decade. This man is had a following and knows exactly what he's doing. He's just getting used to it here on this medium. But yeah, wonderful.
Well, you're too kind. Thank you so much. Actually, Mark C is the comic god. That's why I have him on all the time, and I'll have him on again soon.
Oh, God. You know, like I said to you, I've been in a few comic shops where they were supposed to be experts. And I'll tell you something, every time I ask about the Star Trek, they don't know what I'm talking about. So for me, you're a comic god. And if Mark knows as much or more than you, I'm just shocked. And I am so, what an honor and a pleasure to have both of you here this evening.
Mark not only knows his stuff, he has a better memory than me because he's he's younger and everything.
$30.
But we've done a couple, and we're trying to come up with other comic book topics to do. And incidentally, everyone, we have other topics, as you can see in November, and I'm going to be doing a show about the history of Star Trek comics.
I'm so excited about that. You guys you don't even understand. In Canada, I went into like a big comic book store that is really well known to be peppered with like comic experts. And I went to talk about Star Trek, and I said, look, I'm not a geek. I'm not a comic geek. I'm not a movie geek. I'm a Star Trek nerd. I'm an academic. I've never bought comics before. Help me. And they were like, well, we don't really have that. So I'm so excited to have you and Mark here, Clobberin. And Mark, would you please do me a favor? Would you please send me that link over Twitter, or could you please send that link to Clobberin? Because I would actually like to get it, please.
Yeah, because that burn run's really good. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
This whole thing that's happening in November, I'm not just talking out my butt here, folks. I am going to be watching, and I'm going to be in the chat for the whole thing. I'm just going to be asking a million questions in November over this. This is a huge thing because the whole Star Trek comic collection thing is super important. There is a whole like knowledge thing behind it. There are like different versions and stuff like that. So I am so excited that Clobberin is doing this.
Thank you. So I was going to do it in September, but I wanted to wait a bit. So because but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mark C, I keep interrupting you. I'm so sorry, Clobberin.
No problem.
Mark C says the way they wrote Worf's relationship with Ezri didn't help Nicole DeBoer to fit in with the fans. Agreed. Impossible situation not made any better by the more impossible situation on and off screen. Fantastic comment, Mark.
Absolutely. By the way, yes, Smart Steve. I'm going to start from the beginning. Gold Key. And I'm also going to talk about the UK comic strips, the LA Times comic strips, and all the different times that the Star Trek license changed hands from Gold Key, Marvel, DC, back to Marvel, Malibu, IDW, finally, all that stuff. We're going to cover it all, kind of give a basic timeline. It's a lot to cover. I got my friend Claude and I will be doing it in November sometime. I got to make sure I got to pin him down for it. And because he knows his Trek comics, and yes, because there have been a lot of them. I'll tell you what. And
everybody at home, this is going to be like going to school for me. I'm not a geek, I'm a nerd. So this whole thing is going to be like a huge academic enterprise for me, because this is basically like Clobberin and his crew teaching me how to curate the best Star Trek comics. So if this is something that you're into, whether as being a Trekkie and a collector, a 66 to 05 collector, or if you're just like me and you actually just want to read these old school comics and you want to know the real deal, you don't want to get the crap, this November, we're going to school.
Thank you.
Come to school. We're going to go to school, people.
Too kind.
Do it.
Going to be fun. I wanted to do this for a while, and actually it's going to be, we're just going to give like a basic timeline of everything, what they, a little bit of the history behind them, because there's so many of them. You can't just sit there and talk about an individual issue. You'd be here for 20 years. So there's so much of it. They started doing the comics before right around when the series was just ending, and the UK was getting their comic strip before the series even aired there, 6 months before it. And so that's why there was the captain of the ship was Captain Kurt,
Yeah.
and and Spock was kind of insane.
Is
And,
Katie leaving? Katie,
say again?
can we please marquee Katie?
Okay, let's see here. It's been a pleasure, Katie. Katie, sincerely, thank you so much for being here. I've always enjoyed your tweets. I hope you are doing well, my friend. You are a wonderful, just a wonderful young lady, and we really appreciate you. And I know Raquel does too.
Yep. Beautiful young woman, ballerina, a great college student, just a woman that is just wise beyond her years and is like a Gen X. Katie is a really fabulous person. She's so good for the fandom. She has an open heart and is just the sweetest person. And just she likes to talk to Trek. And Katie, thank you so much for indulging us and coming here.
Yes.
And supporting this channel and supporting this show. We just totally appreciate you. And you're just amazing, girl. Have a great night.
Thank you, Katie. We'll be talking. I know you love Voyager. We'll definitely talk about that as well. We'll talk about all the great Treks. And yes, Peter David wrote some excellent Treks for DC. He also wrote a lot of really good Trek novels. He knew how to write Trek. He was really good. So yes, we'll be talking about Peter David a good bit as well.
I would love to do like a book club, but only for comics. And I would like to treat them almost like a graphic novel. If I could add any on-air feedback, I probably shouldn't be doing that when we're already in another show, and I should probably.
Oh no, it doesn't matter.
Myself, but I would love because there's some of this. There's some canon stuff happening and non-canon stuff happening with these comics, and so if we could do like a book club, like a read along. Like where we could buy the comic and read it and talk about it, or you would talk about it, or if you could feature one and talk about it, and then we could go and buy it. Oh, that would be so awesome.
Sure. Well, that's a damn microphone. Yeah, no, that would be fantastic. Why is this doing this? I'm going to get a microphone, I promise.
Yeah, your microphone's pooched, but don't worry about it. It's okay. It's just a little
get a real one.
It's no big deal. But yeah, I'm very, very eager to be around people who know how to curate the proper canon comics. I'm super, super excited about it. And I hope everyone in the chat is too, because I cannot tell you how awesome it is to have this knowledge base and just to be able to reach across the world and get this information that we need. It's so awesome. And I don't like using the word awesome because it's such hyperbole, but this is awesome.
Well, thank you so much. Sorry about that echo, Mr. Gas Mask Animations. I don't know why it's doing that once in a while and stops, but I'm low tech here. I'm sorry. It's a very old headset. But I want to thank everyone who has been here with us tonight. Probably too numerous to mention. First of all, the wonderful and the beautiful Katie Carr. I am just so glad that you showed up. Came by. Smart Steve, thank you for being here. My great friend Mark C. And Mark C. and I will do more shows together. The great Mark C. He's called the great Mark C. the great Doomcock, praise be his name. Hail Doomcock. Calls him that. So does Gary. Yes, Hail Doomcock. We love the Doomcock. He's a great man. And Mark Doucette, it is nice to meet you, sir. Thank you for being here. Eric K., who was here earlier. Jobber, who was here earlier. And so many other friends who popped in. I'm so sorry if I'm forgetting people.
Gas Mask Animations, thank you so much for all of those positive comments that you were just dropping like crazy when you first came into the room tonight. Your feedback means so much to us. And your appreciation for the stuff that we're talking about and the things that we're getting into is just, I can't tell you how important it is. And it's also important to the fandom. I like how we're starting to shift gears away from talking about the bad stuff to focusing on the good stuff, and all of us coming together to revisit all this good stuff. So Mr. Gas Mask Animations, wow, thank you so much. And Yeah,
Thank you.
I got to agree with Clobberin. What an incredible chat we had tonight. You guys are the bomb. .com. You guys brought the best chat ever. You know, you really blessed us with such great, engrossing conversation with yourselves and with us. And I appreciate that so much because I'm so passionate about Star Trek, and I love meeting with Trekkies, and I really miss being at the con. And you guys are just really, really, really great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Again, really appreciate it. I really appreciate you, Katie. I was so excited to see you show up. Yep, all real Trek. It's all real Trek here. Only 1996 to 2005. We'll have more Trek talk. Thank you, everyone. Saturday night, The Works of Alan Moore. Boy, do I have some brushing up to do on that, for some research on that one. Even though I have it all, with my dumb memory, I got to be sure. That's why I have Carlos with me, because that little jerk knows it all, and he doesn't forget things. He remembers comments he read 40 years ago, every panel. So I got that covered. Carlos will be here with me, my friend, and yes, I'll be picking on him a lot because that's what we do when he's on here. And but I can't wait for that. And again, we got that Trek show coming up, and my good buddy Mark C and I will be doing some commentary. So thank you all again. You're all fantastic. I've had a wonderful time, and everyone, if you're out there, a big hand of applause for the beautiful, wonderful, fantastic Raquel Briggs, who is just a delight. Thank you so much. I have had so much fun here, and I want everyone to appreciate her because she's amazing. And yes, awesome.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone. Katie, Steve, just everyone, Mark, everyone in the chat. You guys were just great. And thank you so much, Clobberin, for being a wonderful captain of this wonderful ship, being such a generous and gracious host. Anytime you need me, you just call on me, and I'll be here to be your first officer.
Thank you so much. By the way, Douglas, man, I'm glad. Douglas Oberg, thanks again last night for that John Sable Batman picture. Dude, you're in the clutch, buddy. I loved it, bro. Thank you so much. Douglas Oberg does some great art for Doomcock.
Oberg, I saw you in here earlier. So good to see you.
Yes.
Coming to the show again. Appreciate it so
He
much.
does some great art for Doomcock, by the way. He does some amazing stuff. Praise be his name, Lord Doomcock. So again, everyone, thank you. And again, thank you again for that bit there, Katie. Everyone, we are running. Everyone have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. And let's see if I can learn how to end this thing properly. Well, we're not even going to do an outro because the outro is just, yeah, you know what? I'm doing the outro.
Night, everybody.
I have to.
Live
Good night, everyone.
Prosper.
Live long and And also, thanks to the great RR and Eastland Burkholder. I didn't want to forget those two good friends.
Yes.
If I forgot anyone else, apologies, my friends. Good night, and have a pleasant
Hail
tomorrow.
RR!
Hail the great RR. Thank you all. And again, have a great one, everyone.